We must burn those records tonight. We threw the album in the fire, and we heard the sounds of screaming. And we saw spirits that sort of came up out of the smoke and went into the sky, and everybody had to expose and condemn and call out these agents of satanic sorcery among us.
Agents like these guys.
I sound bomb decibels and shock jock festivals. I gouge eyeballs, snap necks and stomp testicles. 80s rap music somehow summoned assassins, and the kids were corrupted during the coming attractions. It's the satanic panic playing Dungeons and Dragons. VHS porn form reproductive patterns, like it's Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven backwards. I'm going X-Clan, back to the East Blackwoods. The Bible Belt chit chatter like this shit matter. Did they care when Call Me Lucifer was said by Mick Jagger? As we brainwash the children with these different religions, as the theories from conspiracies turn to predictions, as the plot thickens, passports and COVID restrictions, and bootlickers smear the names of brutality victims. So what's the bigger threat? Nas X satanic sneaker, or leaving kids at the church with the Catholic preacher? Pepe Le Pew animated cartoon cock loose, cancel Mr. Potato, we gave head to Dr. Zeus. That's the slop I produce. Triple fat rock the goose, shock jock, house party, guns out, shot the roof. Yes, I heard the scream from the blasphemer loudly. Jay-Z rocking that Alistair Crowley. No stripes, bottom of the totem pole, broke whites. When I hold mics, I murder civilians like drone strikes. 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh wreck stages. Trump gone, but kids still locked in cages. Stay industry had the negative effects back when artists had to have sex with record execs. The government coming best to get protecting your necks. It's not the threat of little Nas X dressing in a dress. Marijuana possession could end your life suddenly. Rest in peace, Marvin Scott died in cop custody. The Al-Qaeda Hellraiser, headbanger, hellslayer, pimp slap Mary, kidnapped the baby in the manger. Texas chain Ed Gain, your Iron Maiden death chamber. I'll beat your ass like I'm Rand Paul's neighbor. Big L, Devil's Son, Jack Chick comic strips. Mafia 3-6, witchcraft, Stevie Nicks. Triple Red Uzi, Judas Priest, suicide missions. The Christian depictions, the hypocrite politicians. Asking who killed Epstein, is it Trump or the Clintons? These rappers talk tough, but they be softer than Bernie Mittens. If I did witchcraft and had magic potions, I'd get the ghost of George Floyd to haunt Candace Owens. I'll be the Bachelor, snatch Cleopatra from the Romans. I'll make an airplane with Derek Chauvin crash in the oceans. And I don't care if this man bangs Satan for the clicks. I'll fuck Megan, take her from the Duke of Sussex, and kick you up your ass with a Shan Puma. When I spit black humor, they're like, step back, Boma. Legendary man loser out the rap sewer. This the United States, land of the mass shooter. Stay safe.
I've had parents explain to me, well, I let my teenager listen to rock music because that's all he'll listen to. Let me tell you, so the lyrics to real rock music is nothing more than satanic cyanide. Get it out of your house, throw it out, and burn it. It has no place in the house of the righteous.
We must burn those records tonight. We threw the album in the fire, and we heard the sounds of screaming. And we saw spirits that sort of came up out of the smoke and went into the sky, and everybody had to expose and condemn and call out these agents of satanic sorcery among us.
Agents like these guys.
I sound bomb decibels and shock jock festivals. I gouge eyeballs, snap necks and stomp testicles. 80s rap music somehow summoned assassins, and the kids were corrupted during the coming attractions. It's the satanic panic playing Dungeons and Dragons. VHS porn form reproductive patterns, like it's Led Zeppelin, Stairway
All right, how we doing? How is everyone? I'd like to welcome you to the first of Scary Sundays. I've been meaning to do this I thought it would be better if we separated the streams into categories, and then I think that would just make them more watchable, and then, you know, if somebody wants to skip it, they can, and then especially when I post it, it'll be easier when I start posting on YouTube, but stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I now have a stream schedule. It says you can gift subscriptions, so I assume you can sub to me now. So, I mean, dude, like, if you're able to sub to me, that goes to my first paycheck, and you don't know how much that'll help. It's one of my goals is to get that first paycheck, and then I am on to the next goal. But okay, well, there's a few goals. We're building up to being VTuber status, right? Because we're just trying to get more professional right now. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just the dream. We're living the dream. So I have a stream schedule now on Twitch. You can check it there. And then, what else did I do? I have emotes now, so, because I already had some made, like, a long ass time ago, and I just never had a chance to, set it up. So if you sub, you get access to more emotes, so that's another, like, benefit. Eventually I will tailor more rewards, more incentives to get people to sub. I want to make sure I have good emotes, because I know for me, if you have good emotes, it makes me want to sub to you even more. But that's just me. I don't remember if there's anything else I did. I just did a lot of work. I've been working on the behind the scenes stuff, so yeah, I just want to give y'all update. Okay, let's dive on in. Get this party started. Oh no, rugged man, he's being abused by nuns. How wonderful. But yeah, I used to, like, dude, I gotta say this. So I was starting some of my streams with the Devil's Trill, and apparently that is copyrighted, which doesn't make sense because it's over 100 years old or whatever. I don't know, maybe the one I was using is somebody else's property, but as far as I knew, it wasn't. Fuck, maybe the YouTuber guy who did that copyrighted it. Who fucking knows? I don't care. I just hope Rugged Man doesn't fucking copyright me, otherwise I'm gonna be really pissed because it's stupid. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so it's all scary, true crime, paranormal, viral type shit. A lot of Bob Gimlin today. Bob is just such an underrated content creator. I just found him accidentally by looking for the Chris Watts case, like, EVPs I was hearing about. And honestly, his video, we're gonna watch his video on it if we have time. But a lot of today's content is brought to you by Bob. So if you're into paranormal, supernatural type creepy shit, you definitely gotta follow Bob. He is just really cool in my opinion. So, let's go. Okay, so we're starting off with some Beardo.
So what happens when you mix Vegas showmanship?
Struggling. We just get started and it's already struggling. I found Beardo through the algorithm. He seems pretty cool. He's actually into debunking a lot of paranormal and, like, things, like, just debunking stuff. And I gotta say I really respect it. I respect people who debunk things. If there wasn't people who debunk things, we would all be believing dumbass shit all the time and it wouldn't be true. And frankly, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to live like that. I know some of the things I believe in are silly, but I'll like always acknowledge that, and I will never. There's a few things like I will like double, triple down on and be like, no, this is I will die on this hill. Like there's very few things I will do that for. So, and they have to be like really cemented in reality. And even if it's like slightly off, I'll be like, listen, I don't got proof of this. I know it sounds weird. But yeah, we gotta keep some. We want to have an open mind, but we also want to have logic and use critical thinking and be skeptical. It's good to be skeptical. I think when somebody's a skeptic and they witness something that they can't debunk or can't be debunked, like that just makes it even more credible and compelling in my mind. Because, you know, like if you're a skeptic person, you're doing your own thing and you're not really looking for that kind of thing. And that's just, especially like if you're a content creator and then you accidentally capture something like that you weren't intending on. Oh my god, that's some of the best content out there in my mind. Okay, so yeah, Beardo, he is very cool. I thought we would start off with some skeptical, like debunking stuff. And then, because the rest of this is going to be like a hell of a journey. We're going to be diving into a lot of different strange things, some of which, you know, is more serious and then not so serious than others. So there's like a medley of things here. A scary, spooky medley, if you will. But yeah, I wanted to start off grounded in reality. And then as we go on, we're going to get into some weird shit. And then I will, you know, give you your. I'll make sure to prep you for everything we're going to run into. You know, I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to hold your hand. Get cozy. Get something to eat. Grab some popcorn or whatever snack you like. Smoke, you know, whatever you got to do. And let's just enjoy this together. So, this first one is, like I said, it's not that long. It's only like it's literally 9 minutes. So, I gotta post this in the chat, and then, we're just gonna listen to him a little bit. And then I might add a few things here and there because, like, I've been personally keeping an eye on the Ghost Adventures people, and specifically Zach, because even though I know he's like low key a huckster, piece of shit, malicious individual, I do believe they do capture some legit stuff. I don't think all of it is real, but some of it, like that, is, you know, like that's some. And plus, he's so malicious. He's willing to cut corners. He's willing to do things you aren't supposed to do in order to get results. And the way that the machine of cable TV and streaming networks, they want what people are going to watch, and people want to see shit get bad. And the only way that's going to happen is if you're pushing that envelope, which they're willing to do. And already Aaron has paid the price for it. One of their team members was in a controversy recently involving his ex-wife. I don't want to get into it right now, but some people think it is disrespectful to connect that to the supernatural, but I'm sorry, they're just meddling so deeply in things they shouldn't be. It's hard to compartmentalize and be like, no, there's no connection. Like, I do think the spirits will get revenge however they can, even in very unconventional ways. And that's just me. There's no proof, but that's just my thoughts on it. Okay, let's dive on in.
So what happens when you mix Vegas showmanship on the yard sale from hell and a dude that screams the shadows? You get Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. It's the Disneyland of cursed objects. But instead of cursed items and demonic objects, you run the risk of getting hexed by a box from eBay. Come on down to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum, where fear is real and the refunds are imaginary. Only $49.99 per curse. Zach Bagans is
Apparently it is lagging a little bit, so I'm going to lower the... That should be okay.
Arguably the most famous ghost hunter alive. The man has built his career on tight t-shirts and black hair dye, night vision cameras and screaming in basements at his own shadow. But his crown jewel in this empire of lies is his haunted museum.
Empire of lies. My empire of dirt.
A sprawling collection of supposedly cursed items, haunted dolls, and objects that are darker than the fact that this guy wears sunglasses indoors. It's kind of become a pilgrimage site for fans of the paranormal. People are literally flying to Las Vegas, they skip the casinos, and instead they pay to be jump scared by mannequins and cursed chairs. But here's the question. Is this really a collection of supernatural artifacts? Or is it just a really expensive Spirit of Halloween store? At the center of the museum is the cursed Dybbuk box.
Okay, this is... Okay, I'm sorry, I have to... Already pausing. I do believe there are some cursed artifacts at the museum, simply because Zach is such a malicious individual and he has no respect for the spirits. He's willing to own things you probably shouldn't own. You probably have no business having on your property or just in your possession. And just doing that alone is enough to agitate spirits. They're not all going to be strong enough to do stuff, but you know, I mean, I don't know. If I was dead and I was connected to something and this guy had it, this piece of shit asshole guy had it and was using it to make money, I don't know, I might be angry too and cause trouble, I don't know, but he's gonna go more into this, especially this Dybbuk box shit. Oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I'm really disappointed by this. This really disappointed me. And before I saw this video by Beardo, I didn't know this. And I felt so... I don't know, man. It's really fucked up. It's just really fucked up.
Bad attraction.
Oh, what a wonderful time for a commercial.
Which Zach claims to be the most haunted object in the world. It's got its own room, spooky lighting, and a story straight out of a horror movie. Except, plot twist, it is straight out of a horror movie. The Dybbuk box legend comes from an eBay listing back in 2003. And I've covered this before. I've even made my own Dybbuk box. It's still on the shelf over there. I even made all the items that go in there. Vials of blood and hair locks that cut off a doll. But this seller, they spun this spooky tale about a cabinet possessed by a Jewish demon. It was bought and it was resold a few times, and it eventually in 2012 became a movie starring Jeffrey Dean Morgan, everybody's favourite guy.
Pissing our pants yet? Gonna be pee-pee pants city here real soon.
Hot diggity, hot diggity, this kind of thing that just tickles my balls.
That movie was called The Possession. It's okay, but there's a fly in the ointment. There's a bit of a kicker. The original creator of the story later admitted to the hoax. He made the whole thing up. Total hoax. No demon, no curse. He just straight up made the whole
Yeah, I
thing
would have
up.
liked
It
to
was
know
apparently
this
just a
information.
creative
I don't
writing
know why
exercise
nobody
that
told me.
spiraled wildly out of control. But
I'm so
despite all
dumb.
of this information coming out, Zach Bagans is still proudly displaying this
What a
thing in his
piece of shit
museum,
Zach is,
completely
dude.
ignoring the actual story of this object. I mean, there was only supposed to be one. There's loads of them. I've got one. He sells it like it's the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, according to... See, like, it's fucking crazy because, like... The guy admitted it was fake. And then they had him on again. They must have had him on after that, despite the fact he debunked it. And the dude played into it. And they were claiming that there's other boxes like this. And there's like a tree of them, like a tree of death. Instead of the tree of life, it's a tree of death, and it's these Dybbuk boxes. And I want to know who made that shit up. Where did they get that information from? Who told them that? Like, did Zach make that shit up? Did some, like, rabbi tell them that? Who told them that? Where did they get it from? I want to know, god damn it.
But it's more like a Facebook marketplace, but with some bad vibes and juju attached. But even they are just a story. Plenty of guests have gone to this museum and claim to have had some paranormal experiences. Fainting, nausea, mysterious scratches. Warning, may experience nausea, fainting, or crippling regret from the ticket price. Apparently people sign waivers before entering, which feels less like historically accurate haunted tour and more like a escape room with legal protection. A lot of skeptics and guests at the location have actually come forward to say that these reactions may be less curses and more psychology. For example, you're primed to expect something scary. Look at the design of the place. Look at who owns the place. The lighting is oppressive. The air circulation is questionable. The heat is apparently unbearable. Oh yeah, and you've just paid money to think that you're in danger. Last year the drama ramped up a bit because people were coming forward saying that they were feeling like they were manipulated into believing that they were cursed. Some even saying that they were pressured to go along with the theatrics. Even some staff members have come forward speaking out, but we can't really verify that they actually work. There's never been concrete proof that they work there. But when entertainment crosses into convincing people that they're actually in danger, it stops being fun and seems more like exploitation.
I love
that's the
this
heart of the
editing,
controversy, really, and why I'm sticking my nose in. Is Zach Bagans just giving people what they want, some spooky fun and some Vegas flair, or is he exploiting belief in the paranormal for profit? Think about it. The Dybbuk box is a known hoax, yet he still markets it as real. He frames the museum as some sort of paranormal hotspot, not just a haunted house attraction. People walk away from there feeling like they've been cursed. They have been cursed by the extortionate fee to go through the door. It's one thing to sell a horror experience. It's another to blur the line so much that people can't tell if it's real or if it's fake. And Zach Bagans, well, he lives in that grey area. He's thrived on living in that grey area. And why? Because it makes him money. And his haunted museum, it isn't unique. They're all over the UK. They're all over the United States. Humans have always been fascinated by cursed objects, from the Egyptian tombs and the pyramids to the Annabelle doll. But in most cases, these stories are folklore, fun, or in the case of Annabelle, an outright lie. Zach Bagans' museum, however, sort of frames itself as both entertainment and genuine danger. And that's the problem. His showmanship is shown as some sort of authenticity. Imagine if Ripley's Believe It or Not claimed that every shrunken head and every Fijian mermaid was 100% real. No questions asked. Well, that's what's happening at the Zach Bagans Museum. So what is Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum? On one hand, to some people, it's brilliant entertainment. It's creepy, it's theatrical, it's a must-go place for fans of ghost hunting TV. But on the other hand, it tiptoes into exploitation by selling hoaxes. A manufactured fear is sold as very real danger. But maybe that's the ultimate trick, that the museum itself is the cursed object.
That's definitely true.
Not because it's cursed, but because it keeps draining money from skeptics and believers alike. So yes, you can pay to get cursed by Zach Bagans' Dybbuk box. Or you could just stub your toe on the way out of the gift shop. Either way, you're walking out of there with bad vibes. So what do you think? Is Zach Bagans just giving people the spooky entertainment that they want? What they are paying for? Or is it a giant con wrapped up in a very tight black t-shirt. And don't worry, this video isn't cursed unless you forget to like, comment and subscribe. So please do let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Much love to you all. Beardo out.
Yeah, I definitely think, I think, here, let me see, was it dropping? No. I wonder what the issue was. Okay, whatever. So I do think the museum, like, you can, the nausea, the fainting, stuff like that can be explained by heat and poor circulation and just like nerves or whatever. But the thing I don't think you can debunk is scratches. Like, because why would you get scratched in there? It's stupid. They don't let you, they don't let you touch stuff as far as I'm aware. Um, I don't even think you're allowed to. It'd be like a liability. So I mean, I know they have you sign a waiver, but I feel like letting people play with stuff or be like a jungle gym in there would be like just not a good idea. I don't even know if Zach is stupid enough to do that. I would hope not. But let's move to the next one. Okay. So this one is great. This is gonna be a Bob one, and it's one of the first of his content I saw from him, and honestly, it is so interesting. It's really interesting. It's not so much scary as unsettling and weird it is. Um, and this is like a witness testimony or whatever. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. People can be lying, but we're just gonna have an open mind. All right, everyone. Of course, we got more commercials.
Hi, I'm Bob Gimlin, and today I want to share a Bigfoot report I received some time ago, and this one gave me the creeps like no other. Here it goes. Hi Bob, my Bigfoot encounter doesn't feel like a normal Bigfoot encounter, or at least, nothing as simple as bumping into a large animal. I grew up in almost Idaho, in Montana, outside of Missoula, and I was raised by my dad. My mom left us when I was a baby. Dating the first event is easy because it happened on my 14th birthday.
I'm not gonna talk too much. I mean, I'm gonna stop it when I can if I have something to add, but I'm gonna try not to interrupt too much because Bob is so good at telling a story and just setting you up for it,
So if I was 14, then I guess it was 1975, because I was born in 61. We were poor, not dirt poor, mind you, not even poor, just poor, so I wasn't expecting anything special or a party, maybe just a nice dinner and a new coat or something. But when my dad picked me up after school, as soon as I got into the car, I immediately noticed that something was weird with my dad, like he was agitated. And he spent the 20-minute drive lecturing me about these new rules. No going outside alone, no going outside at night, and weirdly enough, we're to keep the blinds shut. Naturally, I asked why and what happened, seeing as this was totally out of character for him, and he seemed to have trouble explaining himself. He said something about a bear, and we were surrounded by farmland, so bears were not a common thing there at all. But at some point in the explanation, the bear somehow morphed into a drifter who looked like he was up to no good. And I remember thinking, well, which is it? A drifter in the woods or a bear? Or were the drifter and the bear in cahoots? Anyway, we stopped for a rare second lunch. That's what we always called it, when we'd stop for food after school, for a meal before dinner. My dad had calmed down and was apologizing for forgetting all about my birthday, which I knew was nonsense. In fact, I suspected that the second lunch was a stall tactic of some sort, and after ice cream and fries. He apologized for being uncharacteristically testy. Again, I asked what happened, because it was quite obvious that something did. And he said that he caught someone on the farm, and that they looked like they were up to no good, and that we had to be vigilant for a while. Now, honestly, that didn't really set right with me. I did not find the answer satisfactory. But at the same time, it didn't seem like all that big of a deal because my dad was always worried about me. And just as I suspected, when we got back to the house, there was indeed a little surprise party set up. The surprise aspect was a nice effort, but we parked in front and went in through the front door, which we never did, mysteriously avoiding the back of the house where cars might be parked. I looked at him fondly, and he just shrugged. Even though my mom left when I was a baby, her family was still a big part of my life, which is one of those things that I totally took for granted as a kid, and now looking back as an adult, I'm overwhelmingly grateful for. I didn't think much about it at that age, but it was like my dad had two sets of parents. He was only 17 or 18 when I was born, and he had to grow up fast, and I'm sure he appreciated the help. Anyway, the night was nice. My cousins were, and are, hellions. I had recently made the grievous error of telling them that I was afraid of snakes, so they did everything possible to incorporate them. But at some point, my dad and my grandfather, my mom's dad, must have slipped away and had a discussion, because my dad and I spent the next 3 nights at their house, which wasn't all that unusual, because they actually lived closer to school than I did, and I've stayed there before, so it wasn't really a big deal. But looking back, I'm sure it was related to the drifter bear. We came back to the house in a few days, on a Sunday, and other than Dad being more vigilant than normal, nothing really changed. I can't recall anything unusual happening for 2 years, and I totally forgot about the drifting bear. That is, until one hot summer night. That night, I was 15 or 16, and I was lying in bed at about 11 p.m. when I noticed the porch light turn on. Light came in through my window, because my bedroom was on the first floor, and the window was on the far side of the porch. And I clearly heard the distinctive thunk of the light switch being flipped. I was half asleep, so I didn't really think much about it. Then it went off with another thunk, and then it turned on again. Back then we lived in an old farmhouse, and I don't know if the house's age had anything to do with it, but it was the type of house where you could basically hear anything from anywhere. And as the light slowly strobed, I rather suddenly became alert as I realized how atypical this was. I definitely would have heard my dad get up and walk down to the porch, and I knew it couldn't be the bulb being half burnt out or something, because I could distinctly hear the switch being flipped. I don't know how long this went on, probably a minute, maybe 2. The light would come on for maybe half a second, then go off, and then go on again, sometimes slower, sometimes faster. I must have been half asleep when I first noticed it, but after a minute, or however long it was, I became certain that something was wrong, and I got that sinking feeling in my stomach from when adrenaline hits. I was just very still in bed, listening intently, but there was nothing at all to hear except the soft sound of thunking, and nothing to see but the light going on and off through my window. I got out of bed, and I was a master of moving silently on those rickety wooden floors, so I was going to stealthily investigate, when all of a sudden I heard this low-pitched sound that I'll never forget. It started like a wop-wop, but in the same breath mutated into some kind of warbling giggle that grew deeper and deeper until it finally crescendoed into what I can only call a screaming laugh. And I just froze beside my bed.
That's
terrified.
So weird.
This was so loud. Now, I can't say I've ever been near a roaring lion, but I imagine that's what it was like. This was ridiculously loud. Mind you, the sound seemed to come from inside the house, more so than it came through the window. I guess I mean to say that it sounded like it came more through the door than from the bedroom window that faced the porch and the side of the house. No, I didn't scream, I didn't run, I didn't move at all. And looking back, I consider this to be the first time in my life that I recall entirely being taken over by instinct. I froze like a deer. I don't think I could have moved if I wanted to. I think on a deep primal level, that was my instincts telling me to not draw any attention to myself. In that moment, I felt exactly like prey.
Oh, come on. It's probably going to be the next thing I got to work on, getting the...
And before the laugh even ended, I heard my dad...
I have free YouTube on my phone, but not on the laptop, so... It's probably something I'm going to have to look into as well, sorry.
Charging out of his bedroom and down the stairs. a noise I've heard 1,000 times, but not once with this urgency. It almost sounded like he had boots on, but I could tell he didn't. His bedroom was the only room upstairs, and it was one of those houses where the second floor is more like an attic between the eaves of the roof, and the only bathroom was downstairs. So obviously I've heard him come down those stairs 1,000,000 times at night, and this was not like any of those times. So he comes charging downstairs, and I heard him shout the word down, so I dove under the bed. And the stairs to the second floor led directly to the front door, so he would have been able to see the front door.
How did he know she was there? Oh, you know what? I guess he could have been saying it like, if it was a human, like he was warning the humans, if there's a human in the area, get down. And then if you're not, you know, because a human's not going to respond or go down, they're just going to be like, who? So, sorry, it might not make sense, but
2/3 down the steps. I'm smiling as I'm writing this because even 40 years later, I can remember the exact sound of my dad taking those steps. Aside from this instance, it's a fond memory of mine because it meant my dad was nearby. But from under the bed, I heard him pause with maybe 2 or 3 steps left to take. I knew he stopped with 2 or 3 steps left because I didn't hear him hit the landing, which had a different sound than the stairs. And this I'll never forget. My daddy cursed, the SH word. Now to be clear, my dad was known to swear on occasion, but I'll never forget this because it had 2 distinct syllables. It. I don't know why, but that always stuck with me. He turned it into 2 words, which I'd never heard before. He must have been holding his 12 gauge because he shot from inside the house, and it shot through the door. Then I heard him leap, clearing the landing altogether and landing by the front door, and I heard it swing open. So my dad was on the porch now, and then I heard 2 more shots, and my dad was shouting basically jargon, just like one would when trying to scare off an aggressive bear. And I'd never heard my dad, or any adult, make noises like that. Just nasty yells of aggressive jargon. Then the door to my room flies open, and I know it's my dad because I heard him coming. And as soon as he turns the light on, he makes this devastated gasping noise because he thinks I'm gone because I'm tucked under the bed. So I tell him I'm right here and I clamber out, and I'll never forget the relief on his face. I'm a parent and grandparent now too, and I can tell you with certainty that that's love right there, when you think your kid is gone and then you find them. Which is why I never let my middle son go to Walmart ever again.
hold on, guys, 1 second. Being interrupted.
Anyway, he shepherded me into the living room and onto his favorite chair, which I literally never sat on because it was unspokenly his chair. But looking back, I realized that it was up against an interior wall, as in, not against or near any windows. Obviously, I asked what the hell was going on, and here's another thing about that weird night I'll never forget. He said, I don't know, my sweet little kolachki cookie. And moments later, he called me, quote, my pudgy potato pierogi. Few things about that. First of all, I was a very thin child, so I don't know where pudgy came from. Though perhaps even more strangely, I am not Polish, and no one in my family is. And a day before these utterances were made, I would have bet $1 that he couldn't identify a kolachki or a pierogi, seeing as he didn't watch cooking shows, and the extent of his home cooking was steak and baked potatoes. So I have no idea where that came from. Maybe he was dreaming about food. I think his brain just vomited those phrases out in a word salad, produced from the relief of knowing I was okay. My dad called the police, and I talked to them too. And I was there the whole time. I think my dad wanted me to be part of it, to add credibility to the story, even though I hadn't seen anything, but I sure as hell heard it. And I don't know why, but at some point when my dad was talking to the cops, and I had kind of zoned out, is when I realized something about what happened. So, our porch lights had 2 switches. One outside on the side of the porch by a couple outlets, but the other switch was inside, beside the front door. When I was in bed, I guess I had assumed that it was the outside switch being messed with, because I hadn't heard anything inside the house. Well, it had been a hot summer's night, and all the windows had been open. And it turns out that the whatever it was had somehow removed the screen from the window by the front door and had placed it up against the wall right below the window and had reached inside through.
Sorry, they were taking the dog out, and I didn't want to be you guys hearing them in the background, but I also wanted to pause because look how creepy this is. Can you imagine? Like, I just want to run it back so you guys can hear this one more time. Like, this is really one of the creepiest parts of the whole thing. Like this part
through the
right here.
window and was flipping the light switch that was inside the night, and all the windows had been open. And it turns out that the whatever it was had somehow removed the screen from the window by the front door and had placed it up against the wall right below the window and had reached inside through the window and was flipping the light switch that was inside the house. It's still a complete mystery how it opened the screen without
Even if
breaking
it was a human,
because
it's
the
still
screen
creepy.
had two little pull tabs on the side, but they were only accessible from the inside, and the tabs were in the position to indicate that they were locked. Later, my dad and I would spend hours trying to remove the screens from the outside without breaking the screen or disengaging the little tabs, and it simply wasn't possible. The fit was extremely tight, and it would break before it would bend. The only explanation that makes sense is that the pull tabs were in the open position, and that things simply could have leveraged the screens out of the window and then moved them to the closed position once he had access to the little levers. But that doesn't make sense either. So my dad was unaware of any of this happening until, of course, the screaming laugh, at which point my dad came flying down the stairs, and halfway down the stairs, which he had to stoop down to see, he said he saw a big hairy arm withdrawing from the window.
Oh my god.
And he saw its face looking in through the little
Even
window
if it was
in
like
the
a
door.
bear too,
He only saw it
that'd
for a
be scary
moment,
as fuck.
but he called it, quote, a devil face. He could only see its eyes and the bridge of the nose, but he said it looked like the devil and mad as hell. He said it looked evil, and he got a good look at it through the little glass window on the door. He didn't see much of it, but what he did see, he saw well. And that's when he shot, right through the door, below the face where its chest should have been. And he ran onto the porch, and that's when he started to yell, and he fired 2 more shots from the porch. But he didn't have sight of the creature by then, which is why he thinks that it jumped over the railing and went around the side of the house. We would have heard it if it ran across the porch, so we think it jumped over the railing first, ran around the house, and then circled back. The front of the house was flat and bare, and the night was bright enough to have seen it if it had gone straight for the tree break. He ran around the whole house in his undies, screaming like a banshee before he came back in to look for me.
That is what you
So
do if there's a
outside,
bear.
he shot to give the impression that he meant business. And it wasn't until he returned to the house that he realized that there was no blood on the porch. No blood, footprints, or hair either. He was utterly perplexed on how he hadn't struck it with his first shot. He was quite certain that he'd hit it when he first pulled the trigger. In movies, they always show shotguns as blasting holes through walls. But that's not what happened here. There was just a series of small holes close together right in the door frame. The cops were very straightforward. They said that they're not filing a report.
So, I would conclude from that information, 1, he missed. It didn't hit it didn't actually hit the Bigfoot or whatever the fuck it was. Whether it was a human, a bear, a Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, it was some kind of living, well, I mean, see, I was gonna say it's gotta be a living creature, but there's no blood, there's no fur, there's no prints. There's no, I guess, I mean, you could say it could be a supernatural creature if it's, because you can't fully, I don't know personally how you would get the screen out of the window frame. My dad is like construction worker who puts windows in buildings and shit. I'm gonna ask him next time I see him that if he knows of a way to pop out a lock screen without like disengaging the lock, like, is there like a physic? Because I know like if you were to like use physics or whatever, like sometimes you can do shit, but like I don't have that kind of autism, so I don't know. So I'm gonna ask him because he knows Windows, so maybe he could give us some insight on that. Gonna have my dad have the red dragon calling. Uh, okay, so yeah, my conclusion is it was he didn't shoot it. He just missed it somehow. He missed it. Two, I don't know. Is it because okay, I'm trying to think how to this. Like, as I don't know enough about guns. Like, if something's fur or its hide is tough enough, is it possible that it hit it without making it bleed? But then wouldn't they find the pellets or something? I don't know. I think there would be. This is a very strange story. And I don't think you could conclude one thing or another. Like, I mean, yeah, like either it hit it or it didn't. But the question is, if it did hit it, then like, why is there no blood? I don't know. It's very strange. Very strange. Very interesting, but very strange. I like this one very much.
That these things don't usually bother people, and that we should just leave them alone. I remember that very specifically
Fucking
because my
lazy
dad
ass
went off on them.
motherfucking cops.
He said, usually? Oh, they don't usually bother people? The only thing that I really remember about the cops was that they were excited
send a
about the
gorilla to
thing's
your
size.
house, see how you
They
feel.
tried to recreate it multiple
Tries
times
to break in.
flip
Gorilla
the
comes
switch
to
through
your
the
house.
open window with their
Tries to
head
get your
visible in the
kid.
little window on the door. And it wasn't even close to possible. My dad could barely get his whole hand flat against the door.
Yeah, now
And when
think about
I
how big
tried,
that
I couldn't
fucking
even
thing
get my
is,
elbow
too.
to the window
Look
while
how
keeping
big
my
that
line of
fucking
sight
thing
through the
is.
little glass pane on the door. Another thing about its size that my dad insisted upon was that he and the cops had to cock their heads more than the creature did in order to angle their elbow through the open window. My dad said that the creature's head wasn't straight up and down, but it was far less at an angle than when he or the police tried. One of the cops was a bear of a man, and he could get his arm in the window with his head straight, but his hand barely made it to the center of the door, and certainly not to the switch on the other side. My dad told the cops that it was too big to fit in through the window, but it could have busted through the door easy as pie if it had a mind to. I know this doesn't really fit into the mindset that a lot of people have about a Bigfoot cover-up or whatever, but I was there, and
it wanted to. Okay, I gotta say this as well, because this is kind of freaky. Look at that Bigfoot pussy. No, I'm just sorry. Clip that. No, I'm joking. I couldn't resist. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I don't think Bob touches on this, but I'm gonna mention this, and I didn't think of it before. Sorry, it's just very unsettling. If this creature was as big as they're saying, right? They're like, okay, this thing is so fucking big, it could have just broken if it wanted, right? This suggests this creature had the physical capabilities of breaking into there, getting through the wall, the door, the window. It could have did whatever. It could have done any of those things, right? But it chose not to. It chose instead. It was trying to find a way in without making it look like it. It was like trying to break in, which is kind of human-like, because like a human, when they're trying to break it, I mean, depending on the level of the criminal or whatever, like if you're trying to get in there to steal something, you don't want to make it look like you broke in or forced entry. And then it was also trying to do it quietly enough as to not wake anybody up. But then it's like, okay, well, why did it laugh? Why did it make that noise? I don't know. It's really creepy. Because obviously it had some kind of, like, it either was trying to break in to get food, it was trying to break in to get them, it was trying, I don't know. I really don't know. Because you'd think if it wanted to kill them or something, it would just break in and do it. But this actually makes this is so creepy. And we're gonna do another Bigfoot story that Bob covers actually that kind of actually feeds into this little theory I have going. I'm kind of wondering if this creature was trying to get the child, was like trying to break in order to like kidnap the girl. Because if you think about it, she was on the first floor, but the dad wasn't, which is not very smart if you ask me. Of a father, like he would have been better off. I think it's safe for him and the kid upstairs and the parent downstairs, but that's just my thought. My opinion. So yeah, this suggests that the creature had been watching them casing the joint, and then it was planning on taking the girl. For whatever reason, we don't know. Like, there is reports that some people like it's like very there seems to be like a lot of a spectrum of how these creatures feel about us. Some of them are angry, aggressive, and territorial. They'll kill you if they see you. The other ones don't want nothing to do with you. They'll run away. They'll hide. The other ones will just try to scare you off, but they won't harm you. And then there's like stories of them kidnapping children and people even. So what are they doing with the people afterwards? I have no idea. I don't think you could argue. You could say in some circumstances that would be really malicious and like just creepy and like bad. But then, and then if you think of it like as a human or like a gorilla, it's like, ooh, I want to replace my baby. I'm gonna steal somebody else's baby. Um, I think that it's like, yeah. So they're like either they're taking the kids to eat them or raise them as their own. Uh, Either way, it's very creepy. Obviously, like if I was a kid, I wouldn't want my to be kidnapped by Bigfoot. Though, to be fair, it'd probably be like nicer to me than my parents are. But I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, no, I do think it was trying to get in to do something, and I do think it was, and I think that's why the dad was so upset. He probably knew in his like gut, like as a parent, like this thing is trying to fucking kidnap my baby.
I specifically recall the cop saying, "We're not filing a report. We get a few calls like this every year, usually
Piece of
from the
shit.
same people. Just let it alone." And one of the cops told him that they don't come inside houses, and that's when my dad told them to get off his property. And after they left, my dad and I had ice cream, and he told me about what happened 2 years ago on my 14th birthday. But you should know this first, I guess. The previous owner of the house raised hogs there, and there used to be this wallow right on the side of the house that was so filthy that my dad filled it with rocks and charcoal and then dumped a dump truck load of sand over it. And we called it a sandbox, just because my dad and I played in it a lot when I was a kid, but it was really just a sandy patch of yard. Anyway, on my 14th birthday, while I was at school, my dad was coming up the driveway when he saw a black figure in the sand pit. At first, he thought it was a wayward hog or something, but as he got closer, he saw it was human-shaped, only much larger, somehow both lankier and stouter than a person. Its position was peculiar. He said it was on its knees, pulling sand towards its chest, simultaneously digging a hole and making a mound. Dad didn't have a gun on him or anything, and he just kept driving toward the house, trying to figure out what he was looking at. Dad said his first thought was that it was a man in bearskin, but that hypothesis didn't last long. And as soon as he got close enough to see that it was absolutely nothing he'd ever seen before, he drove straight at it and laid on the horn. And it sprang up and ran to this tree line that serves as a windbreak there, and it followed the break all the way to the woods, screaming the whole time, a much higher pitched and shrill noise than you would think a creature that large could make. Dad said the thing galloped like a horse.
Huh.
That's a good question. Looking back, I don't know if he meant it ran like a horse as a reference to speed, or if it actually ran on all fours. I took it to mean that it ran
Either
fast
way.
and fluidly, but now you've got me wondering. He described it as a goblin. He said it had no ears, a bald head, but hair around the sides like a balding man. Its skin and fur was jet black. It had impossibly long arms, impossibly broad shoulders, a big butt, shovel-like hands,
Big
a
ass
small
butt.
head, thin lips, a wide mouth, and he said it had deep creases running across its forehead. He said it looked annoyed, like it was unhappy to be bothered, like it
Sounds
wanted
like a
to
gorilla
flee,
person.
but really wanted to finish whatever it was doing before leaving.
Yep.
Dad called our closest neighbor, who lived about a quarter of a mile away. I guess the neighbor had, on occasion, asked my dad very strange questions that hadn't made any sense until the sighting. My dad told him exactly what he saw, and I guess the marks in the sand were pretty compelling too. This neighbor was super religious, the scary over-the-top kind, and he wasn't surprised by my dad's statement at all, and he said that they'd been having issues at their place too. And he said that he even called the police after one of them broke into, and then apparently spent the night and defecated in a tractor. He said that a little one stole clothes from a clothesline and has been wearing his wife's sundress for about a year. He said he'd called the police multiple times, and that half the time they told him the same thing they
See now,
told my dad.
hold on, I gotta say this. Look at that. Look at the woman in the background. That's funny as fuck. I just gotta say, this is such. When I heard this, when I first watched this, I was amazed. I've never heard details like this. It's just these details are incredible. And then he had an artist. I think I don't know what video it was. He said he had an artist using AI. I don't think this one is AI, but he had hired a he hires artists to do this stuff, and because he's a real one and he doesn't like using AI, and I appreciate him for that. But basically, like, look at this. Have you ever heard of Bigfoot wearing clothes? So, I gotta say this and speculate. Because I think it's important to say this. So like I said, it could be right. Okay, so like, if we're thinking logically, rationally, what are the options? It's a Bigfoot. That's one. It's a person. 2. 3. It's a bear. And then the fourth option is one I hadn't thought of until now. But especially because they say that it's like balding almost. But I mean, it could be a. There are stories of this that I've heard. I don't remember where this is. We gotta go back and check out what state. I don't remember the state they said it was. It doesn't really matter though because they say Bigfoot are like fucking everywhere. Um, it could be. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out the right words how to say this. Um, there's stories of like humans that are like feral. They're called feral humans, and it's kind of like a combination of wild people, Bigfoot, and like the hills have eyes. You know, like they're not considered Bigfoot or cryptids. They're just like people who never joined society. and they just kind of live out as like wild creatures. And there are actual stories of like children, like there's tons of stories like that of children raised by wolves and like the wolf girl, the monkey, like there's, or like even like the Jungle Book story about Mowgli. Like I think that is based on a real thing. Um, there are, I don't think it's that far fetched. I've actually seen some stuff that would suggest there are wild kind of creature people out there, and like I don't think that explains all the Bigfoot stuff, but I don't think it. There's definitely wild people out there, but like, are they? Do that? Does that explain all the Bigfoot sightings or like weird shit going on? No, I think it's just one explanation for like, and then there's usually like lore of it. It's like I wouldn't say like, because I said a Bigfoot are everywhere. These feral people, they're in specific locations where like there's like all these stories about them by the locals. Um, because like I don't think people, just because somebody's a feral human doesn't mean they're gonna be like huge, like gigantic, like a 9 foot tall feral human. Like I don't think that's a thing. I'm gonna say they're pushing 6 feet max. Um, because I know human, especially primates, they're not known to be that big. Like it is somewhat rare for primates to be like us size and bigger, pretty much. Like the chimps, the gorillas, the orangutans, like the smaller primates are way more common, it seems. And that's why a lot of people don't believe this stuff about Bigfoot, because it doesn't make sense. And then we don't find a whole lot of evidence. We just have a lot of these strange stories. But yeah, but that's my conclusion, that this is either a person, a bear, a Bigfoot, or a feral person. Because I'm gonna tell you, I've heard of Bigfoot making like nests and stuff for little shelters, but I've never heard of them wearing clothes. So that's why. And then there's another part coming up where they check the hole, because like the Bigfoot was digging in the sand, and they check and they find shit in there. So, and then like this is again like, oh, you know what? Oh my god, that just occurred to me. Okay, you know what? Actually, let me play this part, and then I'll tell you my further thoughts on it.
And the other half of the time, they gaslighted him. So my dad and this neighbor guy, who was 30 years older than my dad,
See?
poked around the pit, and they found a bunch of stuff under this mound. And I guess this is what freaked my dad out the most. The mound wasn't random. It was burying stuff. Among the contents there, he found several magnets that used to be on our fridge, along with a little notebook we used for grocery lists. We had never noticed that they had gone missing, so who knows when they were taken. These items were all within reach of the kitchen window, assuming you had a very, very long arm. There was also a photo of me. It used to be pinned inside my dad's truck, and he said he never noticed it was missing. But the weirdest thing, to me, that he found buried in the sand were all the angels. There were 12 different depictions of angels. Some were little stone or ceramic yard ornaments. Some looked like Christmas tree decorations. And some were very heavy and expensive lawn ornaments.
So this part, this is another thing where I'm like, okay, are these like feral humans? Like, is this like a little girl human that's like watching these humans and like, I want to be like them? Or is these Bigfoots exhibiting behavior like, I want to be like the humans? Why can't I be like a human? Why do I have to hide with my Bigfoot family? Why can't I live in a house like them? Because this almost looks like stalking, but like also like admiration, or like do the Bigfoot see us as like angels, or like it seems like it was taking what it wanted, right? It took magnets. And like you could say that could be used as a tool later on. But how do you explain, and then you could see even the paper, the grocery list thing, like, he could, that whatever the Bigfoot, it could use it, right? Potentially. Um but then there's the picture. It makes you wonder, like, were they planning on taking her? Did they just think she was pretty and they just liked the picture and wanted it? And then what about the angel statues? It's like, did they just like, is this like a Bigfoot exhibiting like, this is my special interest, like an autistic Bigfoot? Oh my god, autistic Bigfoot has a special interest in angel statues. That's kind of sweet and endearing a little bit, you know. It is very creepy and unsettling. Don't get me wrong, but like, um, I'm just so fascinated by this. Um, I want to know what they think the angels were. Like, what is that? Does it see them and be like clocking it like this is an angel? Does it even know what an angel is? Like, I'm really truly fascinated by this. It's so incredible. I love this. 10 out of 10, Bob.
Ornaments. And the plastic ones all looked like they had spent a very long time outside. The neighbor wasn't surprised at all by this. To him, these creatures were devils, and they live everywhere that humans
That
do,
is so
woods or
stupid.
not.
I'm sorry. I hate. I don't know who that man is, but I hate him. Like, why would a devil collect angel statues? Like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. If it was taking the angel statues to destroy them or like break, like, because wouldn't it just break them or get rid of them? Like, why would it keep the angel statues with these other items? It doesn't make sense. This motherfucker's projecting on this poor Bigfoot. This poor Bigfoot probably wants to be like, why can't I live with the humans? And that is another consistent thing. These children Bigfoot, they're not as well trained as the adult Bigfoot, and they want to be around people, especially kids their own age. There's stories. There's another. We're not gonna cover it this time, but maybe next time. This other story Bob did where this guy completely blacked out a part of his childhood where he was interacting with Bigfoot, like a child Bigfoot. And it turned into this whole crazy cover up situation. That's another incredible story. Like, the details in that is, because some of these details, for me, the details is like, there's something there. Because if it wasn't, I feel like if it was not real, it would not have this many details. There are far too many details. And then the person is anonymous. They gain nothing from this. And nobody in this situation has come out other than the one girl because she was involved. Obviously, her father told her all this. But like, why would he? Why would your dad lie to you about that? It's just like, it's a really specific, strange thing to lie about. And then, like, she was actually there for some of it, so I don't think it's a lie. I think it's like I said, it's a human, it's a bear, a Bigfoot, or a feral human. Because I don't. How do you explain this? How do you explain what they were seeing and like all this shit? And then the neighbor saying like, "What? Why would like? Can you imagine?" Okay. I just want you to think for a second. Like, why on God's like I don't know. I have a weird ass neighbor. I'm not gonna lie. I do not like my neighbors. I have one son who's really good, and the other ones are pieces of shit. That's all I'm gonna say. Uh, I just can't imagine them coming to me and being like, yeah, actually, a Bigfoot stole my wife's laundry and is wearing her dress now. Like, that is like such a like everyone would assume that, like, especially back then, people would think he's crazy. He has lost his ever loving mind. He's gone insane. Because nobody, like, would say that. Like, that is such a weird thing to lie about. Like, either you're crazy, or you're lying, or you're telling the truth. Like, there's not a lot of options there in my mind, in my opinion. But, uh, I just, no, I can't get over that. The trying to break in without telling people or without alerting them, and then stealing all this shit, stealing clothes from the neighbors, wearing it. It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, really. And then when we're done with this, I want to rewind it and see what state
He
it
thought
is.
it was obvious that there are devils among us, and that they would be repulsed by holy representations. I, however, do not agree with this, and though I don't think that to be the case, I do think that's what freaked my dad out the most. He wasn't the type to be particularly freaked out by something like a Bigfoot. I think it would have been more intriguing to him than anything. But once he decided that maybe they're demons or something, I think that's what got him thinking. No, my dad never went to church or anything like that, but I definitely think he was God-fearing, so to speak. But I guess he'd never considered that demons try to get into your house.
Demon Bigfoot.
Literally. Anyway, thanks an awful lot for listening.
This one is the one I mentioned where he blacked this out and then randomly remembered it one day. And apparently Bob interviewed him. Maybe we'll watch the interview. It's fascinating, truly. So yeah, let's get what state this is, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Hi. Encounter, or at least nothing as simple as bumping into a large animal. I grew up in Almost, Idaho, in Montana.
Oh, wow.
Outside of Missoula.
Montana. Wow. So I'm like, could there be feral people in Montana? I don't know. Because, like, if it was a bear, why is it taking things and dressing up? I've never heard of a bear wearing human clothes on its own.
And I was raised by my...
Okay, moving on. Okay, now we're going to go to, this is more true crime. Oh, excuse me. My throat is possessed, making noises on its own. We're going to move into the true crime territory. I wanted to bring it back to reality a little bit, because I know this one was super interesting and bizarre. Probably one of the weirdest Bigfoot stories you've ever heard. Certainly one of the weirdest I've ever heard of. One of the best ones, honestly. I really just cannot recommend this man enough. Okay, yeah, now we're going to move on to this one. It's a bit of, it's mostly like, I don't really remember.
On May 17, 2025,
I haven't watched
a couple from California was heading to a concert at the Blue.
So, I don't really, it's kind of like a blind react again. So, let's just, go with it. Wait, hold on, I want to just see how we're doing. Okay, very good. Let's keep it pushing, y'all.
Blue Lagoon Bar in Santa Cruz. They drove there late
Blue
at night
Lagoon?
to see their favorite band perform. According to a woman named Sabby, who took photos and posted them on Instagram, the night was wild and full of fun. However, just 3 days after sharing her post, she revealed that the concert wasn't the only thing she remembered from that night. On the way back home, something far more unsettling happened.
Creepy,
the entire event was captured on her dash cam.
I don't know how paranormal it is. I don't really remember. Definitely scary whether
Sabby
paranormal
wrote,
or not.
"My boyfriend and I were driving home from the Santa Cruz concert along a very dark, winding road going downhill. It was Highway 17, which people often call Killer 17. This road has a grim reputation in California, with countless accidents over the years. But unlike most incidents, this one had nothing to do with a car crash. What happened was something entirely different.
I think it's glitching on me again.
Okay? Someone was in the middle of the road.
Sabby and her boyfriend were stunned by the sudden appearance of a figure in the middle of the road. Even from a distance, they couldn't quite make out what it was. The silhouette appeared just inches from the passenger side. Based on what was caught on the front camera, one might assume that whoever was standing there either remained or...
Yeah, it looks like it's... It says there's no drop frame rate, so... I wonder what the problem is, huh? The auto on.
or walked away afterward.
Maybe
But the footage from the rear camera
much.
told a different story. Strangely and disturbingly, there was no one on the road.
The long delay, too. Goddamn.
You okay? Someone was in the middle of the fucking road.
Convinced that the figure should still have been visible, Sabby and her boyfriend were shaken to the core. From behind, the road was completely empty, and yet, on the front-facing footage, you can clearly see that someone was standing directly in their path. While at the time it looked like a person, after reviewing the video, they were no longer certain of what they had actually seen.
Yeah, the full screen is
Considering
too much,
that other
I think.
drivers have also reported similar encounters on this stretch of highway, Sabby leans toward the possibility that it could have been a ghost. After all, Highway 17 is notorious for its fatal accidents, and many believe the mysterious figures on the road are the spirits of those who died there. What makes it even more frightening is the thought that if Sabby had reacted more sharply, she might have swerved in panic and crashed. If that had happened, the story could have ended in tragedy. While there's no way to confirm whether this was truly a paranormal event, the incident still troubles both Sabby and her boyfriend. To this day, there is no explanation for what was captured on camera. This incident took place in May 2021. Surveillance camera footage shows Michael
Oh, this
Shackelford
is very
driving through San
creepy. Not
Antonio after leaving
paranormal.
his bank and heading to work.
Not very creepy.
As he makes his way down the road, a car passes
Trigger
by with its
warning.
rear door open, and a woman inside screaming for help. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Michael immediately diverts from his original route and begins following the vehicle while simultaneously calling the police.
Hey, I need police ASAP. I'm on 410 South by Ingram Park Mall. A lady is screaming outside her Ford, a gray Ford exiting Ingram Road right now. She's trying to get out of a vehicle and the guy won't let. No, she's not exiting. They got back on 410. I don't know. It says
This guy's a
410 South
hero.
from Ingram going towards like.
At first, he didn't fully understand what was happening. After several minutes of driving along the highway, the car finally turned off onto another road. Desperately trying to escape, the woman could be seen thrashing around inside, pushing at the door and attempting to leap out. Eventually, she managed to throw herself from the moving vehicle.
She's screaming and kicking in the car. He's erratically. She's trying to get out of the car. She just.
I just want to say, you know, I'm sure anyone watching this, if we were ever in this situation, we would hope to God somebody like this man would intervene. You know what I mean? Because how many situations like this happen and nobody notices or nobody cares or does anything? Like, if we just cared a little bit more, I think everybody would be safer and a lot happier.
She jumped out! She jumped out! Ma'am, get in my truck! Get in my truck!
He's been hitting me.
Get in the back!
A startled passerby quickly reported the incident and rushed to the nearest police station.
So scary.
Soon after, medics arrived on the scene and transported the woman to a hospital as a precaution. Fortunately, she sustained only minor injuries. It later turned out that the woman had been kidnapped by her own husband, who refused to let her go.
Oh, what an evil piece of
With
shit.
no other option, she tried to get the attention of passing drivers. The husband was later located and arrested by police.
God, that's so scary.
This incident happened in Texas, where a woman was discovered by Fulshear police officers early one Saturday morning, lying unconscious right in the middle of a dark highway.
Oh, God.
Dashcam footage from Sergeant Scott's patrol car shows the moment he spotted the motion.
This is really chilling for me. I'm not gonna say why, but I just know. Yeah, it's just fucked up.
Body on the road. The video captures another vehicle swerving at the very last second to avoid hitting the woman. At that moment, Sergeant Scott immediately sprang into action, stopping his car in the middle of the road and switching on his emergency lights. Scott rushed over to the woman and helped her to her feet. She staggered toward the side of the road.
Still good.
It turned out that her car had run into a ditch roughly 200 yards from where she ended up. Instead of calling for help or trying to flag down passing drivers, she had crawled onto the road and decided to lie down there. What's most surprising is that no one stopped to help her, except for Sergeant Scott. She was lucky that she hadn't been run over.
Look at the fucking
On August 1st, 2021, a lightning strike ignited a wildfire in California that later became known as the Antelope Fire. Over the following days and weeks, the flames spread rapidly and numerous fire trucks were dispatched to contain the blaze. The footage in question was recorded at 1 a.m. on September.
This is the apocalypse, baby.
10th. It shows one of the many fire engines sent
right
out
into
that
the
night.
wheels fall off.
They were driving along a road near the fire unharmed. On April 2nd, 2015, Paul was driving to work in his Ford Mustang when he suddenly began to feel nauseous. He started experiencing tunnel vision and realized something was wrong, so he turned off the cruise control. At that moment, he lost consciousness as his foot pressed the gas pedal all the way down.
He got really lucky here. This man's very lucky. He didn't die. He didn't get hurt more. He didn't kill anyone and hurt anyone. It's you know, a lot of normal people would see this and say this is just, you know, luck, but I think a wise man would say this is a miracle. Because look at that.
He narrowly missed hitting a power line pole, an impact that could have ended his life.
It's a miracle. He literally let Jesus take the wheel. He's like, oh shit, something's gonna happen. Instinctively took off cruise control and passed the fuck out. He said, Jesus, take the wheel. And Jesus did. I mean, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. I do think this is incredibly lucky, very rare, and you could consider it a miracle. I would be willing to say that.
Continued moving unconscious into a nearby field. At first, the car veered toward the highway, but after failing to make it over a hill, it headed straight for a fence. When Paul regained control, he managed to place his hands back on the wheel, hit the brakes, and bring the vehicle to a stop. This was the first and only time Paul ever blacked out. A passing driver noticed his car in the field, stopped to help, and called the police. He was taken to the emergency room, where doctors ran multiple tests to determine the cause of his sudden loss of consciousness. The underlying reason turned out to be hereditary low blood pressure. Paul underwent treatment and made a full recovery. In Malaysia's capital, Kuala Lumpur, something strange has been happening at night. Many drivers claim to encounter a human figure sitting motionless right in the middle of the road after dark. Quite a few believe it to be a real ghost. The supposed spirit always appears in a lotus position, seated cross-legged on the asphalt. In this dashcam footage, you can see a frightened driver immediately reversing as soon as he notices the eerie figure dressed in white. In the original clip, the driver can be heard saying, "Okay, that's creepy." His passenger adds, "Yeah, that's scary."
It's
okay, that's a bit scary.
Yeah,
that's a bit scary.
That is very scary.
That's
either mental illness or somebody trying to rob you. I would say very unlikely it is a spirit, because I don't know. I just don't think this one's a spirit. I just don't.
Alright, my traction control just came on.
Yeah,
As the car backs away, the The driver grows increasingly nervous while the passenger tries to calm him down. In reality, however, it isn't a ghost at all, but a person.
Yeah.
Specifically, a local man with mental health issues who has been spotted on this road several times before.
Yeah.
No one is sure why he behaves this way. Does he not fear being accidentally struck by a vehicle? It doesn't seem like a suicide attempt either, since being hit by a car doesn't always lead to instant death. On this occasion, the man was caught and issued a fine. In one of the districts of Dagestan, a car dash cam captured a shocking sight, a massive swarm of locusts. The footage shows the
Also
swarm
not
approaching
paranormal,
like a
but
black cloud.
I imagine this
When the
is
swarm
what it was
slammed
like
into
in
a
Egypt
bus,
during
the
the
vehicle
plague, for
began to
sure.
rock back and forth as if it were about to tip over.
They look fucking fish. They don't look like
After
bugs. It
turning
was like
onto
a
another road, the
tornado
bus
of
driver
fish.
and passengers were finally able to see the sky and the
Scary as
sun
fuck.
again. In the end, everyone made it out
What the
unharmed, though
Egyptians went
shaken by
through.
what they had just witnessed. It's chilling to imagine what could have happened if the bus had broken down, or worse, if the locusts had shattered its windows. What do you think would have happened then? A young woman named Alyssa Cross was driving along a deserted road somewhere in the southern part of the country when she noticed a woman standing by the roadside.
I don't know what to call this. I would call this, I don't remember if they clarify, but it's definitely not a zombie, definitely not paranormal. I'm pretty sure it's just drugs, unfortunately.
Someone she had never seen before. The stranger was acting erratically, as if she wasn't in her right mind. In Alyssa's voice, you can hear a trace of nervousness, as she and her friends speculate that the woman might be infected with some kind of virus.
No. Stupid as hell.
In the video's description, she even asked the question, bath salts or zombie? What if this is how patient zeros are born? After all, how many outbreaks have begun with casual conversations like this before anyone truly realized how serious things were? But if it wasn't a virus, it seemed likely the woman was under the influence of something extremely powerful. The camera captures the car as it slowly drives past, while Alyssa, trying not to draw attention, leaves the stranger behind on the empty road.
Should I ask her for help?
A disturbing dashcam
wanted
video
help.
was filmed somewhere on the roads of Australia.
Like, kind of fucking rude filming this woman on drugs. Like, I don't know, if I'm on drugs, I don't kind of want anybody filming me. Kind of rude.
A local resident
Making
was driving down
content.
a dark highway at 5 in the morning when his dashcam suddenly captured something truly unsettling.
Oh yeah,
a man
that's
appeared
creepy.
in the middle of the road. When the footage is slowed down, it almost looks as if the figure materialized out of thin air. The public reaction to this video was divided. Some believe it's nothing more than a fake, but considering the way the driver swerved sharply to the
I don't
left,
know, dude.
one has to wonder what exactly he saw
I mean, it
on
could
the
just
road.
be a legitimate
It's
person.
been suggested that the figure may have been a mentally unstable person attempting to throw himself under the wheels. Either way, the driver was genuinely terrified by the encounter.
I don't know, bro. This seems more like, I would say, like compared to the other guy who was in the street, who was like sitting lotus position in the street. That was a person. This seems more like a ghost because I don't know. It's just, it seemed like he came out of nowhere, but I could be
What
wrong.
is it like to find yourself in the middle of a landslide? One California
Oh, this
Highway
is really
Patrol
fucking
unit has the
creepy.
answer, and it was all captured on dash cam. The dashboard camera recorded the very start of a mudslide in Montecito before it even reached the highway.
Montecito.
At the time, the officers were responding to a call about a building fire. No warnings about a landslide had been issued yet.
Mike, get in the car. Mike, get in the car. Get in the car, Mike. Get in
Get
the
in
car.
the car, Mike.
Car.
Get in the fucking car, Mike.
Suddenly, their patrol car slammed straight into the rushing wall of mud
joking, I'm
on Olive
joking.
Mill Road. The vehicle was tossed around, its tires losing traction. The flow of debris spun the car 180 degrees
That is
before the
so
officers
weird.
were finally able to regain control.
Very
For a
unsettling.
moment, they were carried along with the mud flow, until they managed to push
It
forward
looks like
and
an
escape.
AI video. It's so creepy.
They stopped briefly, only to shout to a bystander, "Get out of here." Then they
Or like
reported
a-
the incident
like a
and
flood
pulled
or
over on Coast Village Road to inspect
horrible
their
storm,
car.
not a mudslide.
But soon
You're
after, the mud flow caught up with them again, a chilling reminder of just how fast and unpredictable such slides can be. This story is truly frightening because the motives of the person involved remain completely unknown. It all happened on a road called Thornlie Road. The woman who posted the video said she was driving with her father when she noticed a strange shape lying ahead in the road.
Yes!
Lots of lying in the road videos. This is so stupid.
What's yours?
As they got closer, she realized it was a human body. And not just any body, but that of a teenage boy.
Yeah, so two things. This is either drugs or like super mentally. I'm gonna say three options. Definitely not a ghost. Drugs, super not well mentally, like gone, like freaking out, having a breakdown, active like meltdown. And then three, it's like they're gonna rob him, or like it's a trick to carjack someone or something.
At that moment, she knew something was very wrong. When their car came to a stop, the boy suddenly jumped to his feet and, staggering like a zombie, began walking straight toward the vehicle. The woman screamed at her father to drive. He threw the car into reverse and then pulled forward again, but the teenager moved
Zombies
right
don't
up to the
walk like
woman's
that.
window.
He's trying to
Later, she
scare
admitted
her.
that if she had been alone, she
Or
wasn't sure what she would have done. She was
steal.
convinced the boy had planned
Or
to
like
target
a-
a lone driver
Yep.
in the early morning hours, not two people together. After all, someone could easily have stopped, gotten out of the car, and approached him. And I can't even imagine what would have happened then, she
Yeah, it
added.
was
Ronald Wiley
not
was
good-
driving down a
mentally
long stretch of
somebody
road
who's
in
not
West
doing good.
Virginia when
Oh,
all of a
this is fucking
sudden,
creepy.
7 trees came crashing down, almost simultaneously, right in front of him. Behind the wheel of his blue pickup truck, he froze for a moment in shock before quickly throwing the vehicle into reverse.
Some people think these kind of tree things can be like earth spirits moving around. I don't know how true that is, but it makes sense to me, kind of.
Since there were
He's
downed
lucky he
power
didn't
lines
get killed.
nearby that looked like they could give way at any moment. If Ronald had been driving just a little faster, or if the trees had been growing only a few inches farther to the left, he would have ended up caught right in the middle of the collapse, and most likely would not have survived. But by some miracle, he escaped with nothing more than a minor crack to his windshield wiper.
Wow, that's incredible. Okay, now that we're done with this, we're moving on to my personal favorite, the Demon Bear situation with Bob. Now I covered this the last time we did a react stream. It went on a little too long, and I was like super out of it by the time we got to this part. So I didn't give the best reaction, and I kept forgetting what I was gonna say. Very embarrassing. Unfortunately, that is a side effect of being sick with an infection or whatever the fuck I got going on right now. Okay. So this is very creepy. Very compared to what we've watched, this is gonna be probably the most disturbing next to the I don't know, yeah, no, this is for me the creepiest, scariest, because in my opinion, I don't know how to debunk this. I don't think it's a hoax. I could see why people would think it's a hoax, or why they would think Bob would want to hoax this, but it's strange. It is very strange. And again, I would love to know if anybody who's super familiar with computers in general, if when we're watching this, you can debunk or explain any of it, because if you can, I'd love to hear it. Because I frankly don't know how to do it. I don't know how to explain any of this. Fucking incredible shit.
Don't just.
I'm gonna talk, but try to let Bob do most of the talking because.
Hi. I'm Bob Gimlin. Hello. I know this isn't the type of a video that you've come to expect from this channel, but...
And Bob is kind of a skeptic, low-key. Like, he seems like a guy who thinks very critically, and he wants to have data and go by the data more than just bullshit, right? That's why I kind of think he's telling the truth here. And then, like, if I was him, I would be super freaked out because nothing like this has ever happened to me before. It is so strange. And it happened right after he did the bear. He put out, like, a video, almost like a documentary about this demon bear from 1915. It's incredible. Seriously, if you guys are interested, you can find it on his channel. But this happened after he made that. And I think it's incredible. It's some of the best. If it is legit and not a hoax, and he's not pulling a fast one, this is some crazy fucking shit, bro. This is some high level, like, I don't know, man. It's
here we are.
Crazy.
So, something happened that I've been thinking about a lot, and it's not really a big deal or anything, but it is certainly appropriate subject matter for my channel, so I thought I would share it with you. So back in March, when I was finishing up my bear video, my Sankabetsu brown bear video, my computer crashed, and quite frankly, it was kind of overdue and long expected. That $400 Walmart computer was doing things that, yeah, I'm shocked it lasted as long as it did. But that's not what this is about. It was quite obvious that the end was very near for the computer. It kept crashing and everything, so I put 2 files onto a USB. This USB, actually. It already had one other file on it, the completed version of the Japanese wolf video. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear it. There's a thunderstorm outside right now. But I put 2 files for the Sankabetsu brown bear videos onto this flash drive. And then, sure enough, the computer completely died. I went out and bought a new one. Getting it set up was kind of a nightmare. It was a far drive to get there, but I didn't want to, go to bed that night without knowing that all my work was saved. So, on this new computer, which looks much like something out of Star Trek, super cool, all I had on it was the video editor, which I downloaded, and then I think it came with some stock games or something. That's it. But other than Windows 11, the stock whatever, and then the contents of this flash drive, which was 3 files, that was it. That was all that was on the computer at all. And it was late, so I plugged in the flash drive, put the files in, got them onto the new video editor, and then I could rest easy because I knew that my 4 years of work wasn't gone forever. But the weirdness, I guess, occurred the next day. But for that, I think I need to take you to the computer.
I just want to say before he continues, he's more of a skeptic than I am. I wouldn't say I'm a skeptic within reason. I'm not a full-blown skeptic. I'm not the kind of person who, when faced with evidence, I'm going to say, well, no, that's not true, blah, 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 whatever. And, obviously he didn't say this because he didn't want to, I assume, and he didn't believe it, so he didn't say it. But in my opinion, I do think the computer crashing as he finished that video about the bear, I do think it has to do with the paranormal. If this thing that showed up on his new computer is legit and not a hoax by Bob or somebody else trying to pull a fast one on him, then you have to assume whatever this created this EVP contributed to the death of the old computer. That's just my opinion. That's just my 2 cents. There's no proof. But I just wanted to speak my mind before we continue.
So at the time, everything of the computer was brand new. It didn't have anything else on it. Just Windows 11 operating system. And all I did was download.
Sorry, I was trying to pause and it wasn't working. I'm like, is this Leonardo DiCaprio or Matt Damon? And I just want to know, Bob, why? Why is that your background? How old is this video? Hold on a second. This is a 2-year-old video. In the year 2023, Bob Gimlin had Leonardo DiCaprio or Matt Damon, I'm not sure, as his computer background. That's just fascinating to me. I want to know why, Bob. Can you explain to me why? Should we check the comments? Maybe I'll check the comments next time. Later.
My video editor, which is called VideoPad. And then the only files whatsoever that I put onto it was what was on this flash drive. Yeah, which had 3 files on it. My completed version of the Japanese Wolf video, and then 2 MP4s that were all the work in progress I had for the Senkabetsu Brown Bear video, because I did it in like 2 separate things, and they just needed to be assembled. And the conclusion had to be finished, but that was like the meat of it. Once I had those on my editor, I was happy. So before I could go to sleep that night, I put everything onto the video editor to make sure that all my work wasn't ruined. And just to be clear, this is not the actual file that this happened to, because that file became the Brown Bear video, so I'm recreating what I saw.
Spoopy.
So I guess the anomaly happened when I woke up the next morning. So the next morning, as it should have been, the 2 MP4 files were there. All was good. But strangely enough, there was something else there. And that is here in the audio files. And if you look right here by the audio files, my audio 0031. In my old computer, I saw literally thousands of these. I guess they're called WAV files. And as far as I don't know much about this, to be honest, but as far as I know, the only way to make them is through the editor's record feature. So whenever I do an audio narration, it comes out as a WAV file in...
I just want to say, before I let Bob continue, from my understanding, the only way computers can do stuff like this, you know, the reason you have a computer is you're the one controlling it. You put in commands, it spits out what you want. It's not just going to make something on its own. So how do you explain this? If we are in agreement that Bob didn't fake this, it's not a hoax, it's not a trick, how did it get on the computer? Who made it? Why did they make it? Like, just keep those thoughts in mind as you watch this.
This audio files, but as far as I know, the only way to get a file there to populate is to record. And quite frankly, I don't even think my microphone was plugged in to the new computer.
Yeah, another
So
thing.
this was a mystery, and what made the mystery even greater was that if you look at it, I've never seen an audio that looked like that.
Yeah,
Like how
that's
solid
crazy.
this
What
is
that?
very
What is
bizarre.
all that?
And here's what I mean by that. If you look at the 137 minutes of audio of the 2 MP4s that were on the PC, it looks like one big block, but if you zoom in, you see it has lots of little pauses and ridges and straight lines. Whereas if you look at the anomalous file, my audio 0003 parenthetical 1, you'll see it's all just one mass. And it's actually not louder. And I know that's the static stuff, but still, there's no
like,
difference.
Who made that? Who the fuck made that? How did they make it? How was that done? It's just incredible.
Between the static and the voice, you should be able to tell where the voice is. And I didn't record it. And what's weirder still is that it should start with my audio 0000, then go to my audio 0002, and then my audio 0003. And then this 1 here means that...
Terrible time for ads. Come on now.
It's a copy. So there's no 1, no 2, no 3 even. It's a copy of 3. And I've never seen a wave bar that looked like this.
Yeah.
So I decided to, of course, as you could imagine.
Okay, so I just want to say 3 anomalies. We haven't even gotten into this completely yet. There's 3 anomalies. It just showed up on the new computer. The audio thing, the wave bars or whatever, they don't usually look like that when you're editing a video and stuff. That itself is strange. And then 3, he's saying it's a copy. Like, all of it was copies. Like, of an audio sample or something that he made. That he's saying he didn't do that. But that's what it's saying. That's what the data is saying to him.
Give it a listen.
This is where it gets creepy, y'all.
In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under a bed. But it was no use. Kesagaki was very strong.
Sorry, before he continues, I wish we had, like, somebody who specifically works in, like, sound engineering. I wish he could give this data to somebody so they could just study this shit, because I wonder how much, like, shit is in here that we don't even realize, like, that Bob isn't even equipped to pick up on. Like, 'cause it looks like there's so much data here that we can't even begin to understand because we don't work in this field.
But worse than that, he was very hungry. I could not believe what I heard.
It's incredible.
In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under a bed.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep pausing it. I just have a lot to say right now, but Like, look at Bob's face. He, like, looks so fucking, like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? I haven't been following Bob very long. I would say less than a month I've been following him, probably. I've already learned the sound of his voice pretty well. And as you know, your fellow autistic, or your, what's the right word for this? Your, handy dandy autist. I have a certain knack for voices, in my opinion, allegedly. You know, I love watching The Masked Singer. And my favorite thing is guessing the people by their voices and going off of the context clues and the little things to figure out who it is. Even sometimes without knowing the voice or the person, I'm able to figure out who it is just by the clues enough. And the sound of the person's voice and what I'm picking up from that. When I listen to this EVP that Bob is playing for us, I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing, one, it's Bob. And then two, it's also not Bob at the same time. And you might be like, Babylon, why do you say that? Well, I'm going to let him explain a little further. And once he gets to that point, I will try to elaborate more.
But it was no use. Kesagaki was very strong. But worse than that, he was very hungry. If I saw this video on a different channel, I wouldn't believe it. So I don't really expect you to, but I promise it's true. And I'm not good with tech stuff, so I want to make sure that I'm explaining this right. But these are the two files that it had to go with. And the audio's all edited. You know, there's no long gaps. You know my videos, there's no weird long swallowing noises. At no point do I say the name Kesagaki 3 times in a row. Yep. Kesagaki was very strong. So important. The only thing that audio had to go off of was these two files. Sank 1 everything minus attack 3:16:23 and Sank 1 house attack almost done 3:17:23. Like, I don't have any words for that. Like I said, it's not a huge deal, and I mean, so the two files it came from, the first is 1 hour and 18 minutes and 44 seconds, and the second is 17 minutes. So if this was random, which I still don't think can happen, to be honest, I don't think that the narration function could absorb some part of rendered MP4 files and spit them out. But even if that did happen, the odds of it being that part,
oh my god, the creepy fucking,
to me, is, I don't know.
In the background.
I saw,
oh my god, I love this.
Not one but two videos on this subject, on this horrible subject, where they've refused to say the bear's name. And Yeah, this feels ridiculous to say, but it almost feels like something was getting excited, knowing that it was about to be talked about.
Yeah, so I thought he does like a side by side. I love Bob for this. He knows what people are gonna think and what they're gonna ask, and he preemptively will show evidence or what he's saying and make it very clear and concise. I really truly respect him for that. But before he gets there, I just want to say, like, yeah, when I hear it, it's Bob, but it's not Bob. It sounds like somebody or something stole his voice, like a mimic, and is like spitting it back out. And I do believe in quantum theory, mechanics, string theory. Is it possible that a demon bear that was killed in 1915 can cross the ocean to America, to Bob's computer, and create something like this? And if it's not the demon bear, what is it? But no, it does, he's right, it does sound, to me, when I hear it, it likes what Bob is doing. It not only likes what Bob is doing, but it's giving him notes. Like, hey, you did really good, but let me give you a little more. Let me fill you in on something you missed. And this is what he missed. And it's actually making my my hair stand up. Like, I have a full body chill right now just saying that to you. I love it. It's incredible. Let's keep it pushing. Because he's gonna show how fucking crazy it is. I mean, he's really gonna paint.
I don't know about Japan, how
detail.
works in demonology, but I mean, it says the name 3 times.
Yeah. Oh, and I just want to clarify again. Because he said this is a demon bear. Now, when I first watched this, I'm like, I gotta go back and watch the video he made because I wanted to understand. And then once you watch the actual bear video, and then you compare it to this, it's like, oh wow. I wanted to look into it myself, so I googled the bear incident, and I could not find any information on this bear being a demon or the name of a demon bear, or that they didn't want to say the name. I wish Bob would clarify where he gets this information from. I think he said it was a documentary, but he does not clarify what documentary and where it is from. That's one thing he missed. I wish he would have thought about that.
Kesagaki was very strong. I know that's a big thing in Christianity, or Catholicism at least. The number 3.
It's not just Catholicism. The Trinity is featured in other religions. It might not be identical to what the Catholics or Christians believe, but I believe there's more than one religion with a Trinity. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It does, but it doesn't.
At no point in these MP4s do I say Kesagaki 3 times. In fact, here, later I'll play... In fact, let me play the part of the MP4 that it took that from. In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good. Kesagaki was very strong, but of even greater detriment. He was...
And I just want to say, I'm sorry, I keep pausing it. this part of that Bob is showing, this part specifically, is one of the most brutal, devastating parts of the entire story. So the fact that whatever this thing was chose this was the part that he's like, hey Bob, I got some notes for you. This is one part you forgot to add that I think is very important. This is the scene where the bear is attacking a pregnant woman. And it is so unbelievably gruesome. Trigger warning, if you do not want to hear this, I'm going to ask you to mute, skip ahead, whatever you got to do to not be triggered. But I'm going to tell you specifically what happens during this part. Trigger warning. I'm going to say it now. The woman is pregnant and she's being eaten alive by this demon bear. The demon bear is eating her and she's screaming and wailing. And she says, please, she's begging this bear like it can understand her language. Like it can understand her in that moment. And she begs, she says, please, take my arms, take my legs, my face, don't take my baby, please. Please don't take my baby. And surprisingly, in my opinion, the bear did that. It listened, actually. It ate her fucking... I think it either ate her arms and legs and head, her face, or maybe just her head and her legs. I'm not sure, but it spared the baby belly. And they were able to take the baby out of her. But the poor thing didn't survive. It was too much, the mother probably was, her body endured probably so much trauma that it probably killed the fetus. You know, it was too much for the body to handle, for both the infant and the mother. But it's so gruesome, and but the fact that the bear listened, I think, is a good indicator that this is not a regular bear. Because I've never ever heard a bear attack story recounted that the bear could be reasoned with to some capacity. I've never heard that, so I just wanted you guys to know. I thought that was very important information. But yeah, no, this is this thing saying thank you for acknowledging me, and I'm gonna give you some notes on this.
I was very hungry. Hey, so this is like 2 weeks after I recorded what you were watching. That's because while editing this video, I noticed something. So this is what I actually said in the MP4, and then what went on to be the final video too, like the version I uploaded. She tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good. She tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good. And then this is what the creepy demon bear file spit out.
Yep.
She tried to crawl under a bed, but it was no use. She tried to crawl under the bed. She tried to crawl under a bed. Those aren't my words. I never even recorded that.
Literally, he doesn't even sound like him. It sounds so fucked up. Like, it sounds like it took Bob's voice so it could narrate the gruesomeness more efficiently. Because what Bob's narration of the telling of the story was not sufficient enough for whatever this was. And I think that's just bone chilling.
Listen. But it didn't do any good. But it was no use. So this whole time I had been assuming that that demon file was a distorted version of this 11 seconds that was in the MP4s that was on the computer. But it's not. She tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good. She tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good. That's what's in the MP4. And then listen to the file. She tried to crawl under a bed. She tried to crawl under the bed. But it was no use. But it didn't do any good. So it went from she tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good. That's what I said. The bed didn't do any good. The file says a bed, but it was no use. First, I'm going to play the 11 seconds that was in the MP4, and then I'll play the words from the demon file with all the dead air edited out. In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good. Kesagaki was very strong, but of even greater detriment. He was very hungry. In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under a bed, but it was no use. Kesagaki was very strong, but worse than that, he was very hungry. Here's what I recorded with text beside it. In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under the bed, but it didn't do any good.
Look how different
Kesagaki was very strong,
It's
but of even
fucking
greater
different.
detriment. He was very hungry. Now here's what I did not record. In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under a bed, but it was no use. Kesagaki was very strong, but worse than that, he was very hungry.
It's like it's salivating.
I didn't record that. So I just thought that was worth saying because I didn't actually notice that when I recorded this video, or the video that you're watching. Okay. Back to your scheduled programming. So I don't know. Oh, I mean, maybe there's some tech person out there who can give me a simplified answer to how this happened. But
yeah, I want to know.
I've been using this editor for
man.
at least 5 years. Nothing like this has happened. It's never created a file. I don't know, maybe, I hope I'm explaining this right, but things have just been kind of weird ever since that. I don't know. Anyway, as always, thanks an awful lot for listening. In a last-ditch attempt to save her life, she tried to crawl under a bed. But it was no use. Kesagaki was very strong. But worse than that, he was very hungry.
Okay, sorry. That shit's scary, dude. Like, if something fucking just... Hold on, if something just fucking showed up on my computer, Like, what the fuck? Now might be a good time for a break, but... We've been going about... How long does it say? Hold on. More than 2 hours. Here, I want to do, this Loey one. Loey Lane video, and then we'll do the, this last Bigfoot. And then I think I'm gonna save the Chris Watts one for another time. And then these are just honorable mentions I kind of wanted to do. Yeah, let's do the Loey one. Because I love Bob, but his voice is like... It could lull you to sleep. It's so soothing.
Hello, my loves.
And,
Welcome back.
you know, as much as I love Bob, I'm not trying to sleep while I work, okay, Bob boy? Bob me boy. SpongeBob me boy. SpongeBob. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Alright. I'm gonna let this play and then, make sure I sent the link for the last one. I want to move these around a bit and then, send you this one as well. Hold on.
Back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if
She's
you are
cool,
new
I
here.
like her.
Hi, helloey. My name is Loey, and it has been so long since we have done one of these mega scary TikTok compilation videos where we take a look at all of the scary videos trending on my TikTok For You page recently. I know these super long videos are some of you guys' favorites, and I'm really happy to finally bring you one. We have everything from paranormal stuff today to some barbarian-esque Airbnbs that I cannot wait to share with you, and I'm very excited to get spooked together. But before we get into it, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Aura, for helping to support this channel. And you know what's even scarier than these videos are the real life data brokers currently selling your information to stalkers.
No offense, Loey.
Get into these scary videos together. I saw this paranormal TikTok from Danielle Munelli, and it's captioned, "My house is haunted and all the candles blow out on their own." You can see she has brought a birthday cake.
This one's okay. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's scary. I could see why the people in this moment would be freaked out if it actually happened. If it's not a hoax, I could see why people would be freaked out by this, but I wouldn't call it scary.
And she kind of
Could be
goes to light the
paranormal, but it's not
candles and
scary,
has to
in my
like straighten up, you know, get into the posture. And as she's getting ready to really blow them out, they just go out on their own. I know there are prank candles that can do things like this, but she literally says everyone was stressed by this point after the candles blow out on their own. Like, everyone around her was wondering what was going on too.
Happy birthday to you. Blondie. Oh, how did I do that? Did you do it? I don't know. What did you do?
That was weird. That wasn't
Did you do it?
That wasn't me.
That was strange, wasn't it? What happened?
I guess the ghost thought that they were singing happy birthday to them. I mean, how were you to know? But what a spooky viral video to start off this little compilation. So what do you think would be the scariest urban legends if they were real? That was a question posted on TikTok somewhat recently, and one user named Literally Lizzie answered, and let me tell you, this girl's story does not disappoint.
What do you think would be the scariest urban legend if they were real?
One of the most terrifying urban legends that came out of my hometown that terrified me as a kid and still terrifies me to this day as an adult has to do with necromancy, the act of bringing the dead back to life.
Oh,
the more
this
that
is
I've
very
dived into this, the
creepy. I
less
like
I
this
actually
one.
think that it is an urban legend as opposed to just history. Did you know that the last recorded witch hunt to happen in the US happened in Oklahoma? It wasn't the same large-scale witch trial like it was in Salem, but nevertheless, we were not immune to the panic here. And I believe a lot of this panic came out of the urban legend. So back in the late 1800s, potentially even the early 1900s, there there was an epidemic of meningitis, and it's thought that one of the people that had suffered from this was this woman's husband. We don't know what her name is, but all that we know is that she had a fascination with the occult. Although it's never specified in the urban legend exactly what he passed from, I can only assume it was something like this, and I'll tell you why later. But she was so overwhelmed with him passing unexpectedly that she didn't know how to deal with her grief properly. And instead of going through the typical 7 steps of grief, she decided to take matters into her own hand and try black magic. She wanted to be able to perform necromancy in order to bring her husband back to life again. After this man had already been buried, she went out and exhumed the body herself. Somehow was able to bring him back to her place, began a summoning ritual in order to conjure him back into his body.
This is like a freaking horror movie. She literally says the only like media she guesses she really has to base some of this off of is like something like practical magic, which I can't believe we're getting a practical magic too. That's so crazy. But stay on topic low. This is serious stuff, and it gets so much weirder.
Because I have personally never witnessed something like this occurring, I only have media to fall back on. I can't help but think about things like Practical Magic or American Horror Story, Coven, because during those times where bringing someone back to life was successful, they were never really themselves anymore. In fact, had the potential to be something much darker. Nevertheless, she attempted and was allegedly unsuccessful, but the town ended up getting wind of this. I don't know if her bestie tattled on her, I don't know if there was a smell coming out of her house, but regardless, someone from the town went to her and removed the body and reburied him. She was not about to let this happen, so she went back and dug up the body again later that night, brought him back to her house, set him on the table, and performed a ritual again. Someone went to the gravesite, saw that he had been dug back up again, went back to her house and got him. Pretty soon, this became a thing between her and the entire town. She would dig him back up again, and they would come and go get the body. It essentially got to the point where things were getting out of hand, and they wanted her to stop doing it, so they just put cement over the grave. And there's claw marks in this cement that is allegedly from her trying to continue to dig him back up. But there are no answers as to what happened to her after this. To this day, you can still go visit this grave. The reason that this urban legend scares me so badly is not because of what happened then, but because of what happens at the grave now. The fact that this grave is linked to possession.
Not her continuously trying to dig up this dang grave. Like, girl, let it go.
Well, people will still go to this grave today, and for lack of a better terms, weird shit happens. Even though her husband is technically buried there, we don't really know where she ended up.
Okay, I just want to say, like, Loey, like, come on, chill, bro. Like, I know everyone can't relate to this, but I personally have a hard time with death. I've never dug up a body before, like the woman in this story, but I can empathize with that. You know, you miss someone, you throw yourself on their body, you throw yourself in their grave, on their grave, you know, you lay on their grave in the dirt. Some people even try to dig them back up because they just miss them. You know, I have a lot of empathy for that. I understand why it's so hard to let go. Even if you can talk to ghosts and spirits and stuff, it's just not the same as having something you can touch and hold. Even if it stinks like it's dying corpse, you know, like, people go crazy with grief.
People go there specifically to do rituals to call on her, or leave her offerings, or much darker things. Some things that you'll commonly see being left on the grave is flowers, coins, anything that's considered to be like a small offering to her. And anyone who shows up and makes fun of this whole urban legend, bad things happen. Allegedly, there was a guy who actually showed up and was very, very disrespectful to the grave, and afterwards got into a horrible accident. People have experienced anything from whispers.
Yeah, I always hear stories like that. I'm just gonna, like, recommend to everyone, like, pro tip, if you do not want to get into some horrible, fucked up, crazy ass accident or whatever, like, just in general, like, just, you don't want anything horrible to happen. And I'm not saying this is a sure way thing. Obviously, there's no guarantee, but I would recommend that, you know, if you don't want stuff like that to happen to you, specifically, do not antagonize, do not belittle, mock, or harass spirits, unknown entities, graves, dead people. It's just not worth the risk. Benefit is, like, not there. So do not, even if you don't believe in it, just don't do it. There's nothing good can come out of it. There's no good, valid reason to do it. It's not funny. It's not cute. And then what if something bad happens to you? You're going to look like a jackass.
to pulls to forceful grabs, all the way to seeing full apparitions at the gravesite. Some people even allegedly witnessing full-blown demonic possession. Even though this urban legend scares me so freaking badly, I still have so many questions. If this did happen, who is this woman? Is her husband actually buried under there? What happened to her later? Because there's no story about what happened to her later. Is she buried anywhere? If literally none of this is true, why are people reporting demonic possession at this gravesite? Regardless, I figured that we would pack up some stuff and head down to Skytook, Oklahoma. Maybe we can ask some of these questions and figure out exactly what's at this gravesite. If you're seeing this, go to my... It's under the same name that's on here, by the way.
This is such an interesting story and such a weird urban legend I personally had never, ever heard of. And I just am enamored with the way that Lizzie tells stories. She's a friend of mine who I know like IRL, and I think she's so cool. I always see her at the horror premieres and events and stuff. And yeah, she's just a fantastic storyteller. I need to do another one of my little like favorite TikTok accounts that you should actually watch alone and at night and whatever. And she needs...
I do want to clarify something, just because my brain is telling me to. The reason maybe the grave is having issues, like, if the story isn't true, why would all this stuff be happening at the grave? Well, all the energy of the story, sometimes, like, if you repeat something enough, or like people are genuinely freaked out or scared, that energy can make an impact that causes like other things to take advantage. And like, even if it's not related to the grave or the person or whatever who is dead there, or whatever, the family of whatever, but that doesn't mean there's like not other things lurking around waiting to take advantage or scare somebody. You know, a lot of people during possessions or something, they say it's a demon or it's the devil. How would you know if something is just saying that or they actually mean it? I would say your average person would not be able to know the difference between a spirit or an entity pretending to be something, just to scare and control you, and you would have no idea. You would just assume they're being truthful or whatever. You're like, oh, like, this is clearly a demonic possession, like a demon wouldn't lie to me, and it's like, or it wouldn't lie about being a demon. Like, well, yeah, like, if you can get away with it, yeah, and you know, like, if you're like a dead person, and like, it's just think of Beetlejuice, like, you're dead people in a house, you want your house to yourself, so you try to scare the living people out of it, and sometimes the best way to do that is to lie or pretend. So I'm just saying it's not above supernatural entities or creatures to lie in order to get what they want. That's all I'm saying. Not that it matters.
On that list. Remind me, somebody, please. Speaking of really cool creators, though, I stumbled across this person. I'm gonna say their name is Psycho Polly. I feel like that sounds about right. But anyways, he's been making...
I want to look into this. She doesn't go too deep into it, but it seems very cool.
Iceberg videos on TikTok, and they are all really, really, really fascinating. This one in particular is the Google Earth iceberg. Now, this video is like 5 minutes long. I don't want to play the entirety of it for you, but there were a couple that I found really, really interesting.
Google Earth iceberg. First up, we got donkey hit by Google car. So if you go to this road in Botswana, you will end up seeing this donkey just standing there. But then after the Google car passes, you can look back and see the donkey laying on the ground as if it got hit by the car. This got pretty popular online, and a lot of people were complaining to Google about it and accusing them of hitting the donkey. But then in 2013, Google released an official statement saying they didn't hit the donkey, and they showed pictures and explained how the donkey just laid down after the Google Google car passed to take a dust bath, which makes sense. Creature on the balcony. So this is a really popular one. There is this town in France where this one block now is just completely blurred out on Google Street View. But if you go back in time and look at what it looked like, you will see a picture of this weird, creepy creature on the balcony standing near a bicycle that looks like...
She's gonna say it too, but we both recognize this picture, but like we don't know where it's from or if it's been debunked yet. Super weird though, for sure.
like a strange, evil alien thing.
I feel like it's like a prop somebody just put out in front of their place to fucking troll people.
Funny is, this got so popular that it started a whole big argument online, and so Google tried to blur out like just the creature thing, which made it look way more ominous, and so it definitely grew the popularity. And yeah, Google did it to themselves.
I feel like I have seen the creature on the balcony one, maybe in like a Bizarre Bub video or something previously, but this next one, Help, is so weird, and I've never personally seen this one either.
Help. There's this area in Los Angeles where there's a whole bunch of different signs that say the words help spelled out really big as if it's someone trying to get someone's attention that's stranded on an island. This sparked a lot of debate online on whether it was actually someone in trouble or if it was something else. If you go into Google Street View, most of the area where the signs are blocked by walls, but from one angle you can see one of the larger signs. The area isn't extremely nice, which kind of adds to the creepiness of it. I personally thought it was just someone calling for help because they lived in Los Angeles, but the local police investigated these help signs and found it was linked to a homeless man who was trying to complain about how the LAPD treated homeless people.
But yeah, definitely check out this person's account as well. But now we're gonna get into some paranormal videos. And it never matters how many times I see videos like this. It's 12 a.m. guys. You can't tell me I'm paranoid. Now, what is that? Send help. And as you can see, or maybe you can't, it took me a couple of times, it looks as if somebody is watching them through the crack in the door. Similarly, Gizmo 2019 posted, I was just watching my TV and thought I saw something. Is it just me? Or, my god, these videos always stress me out because I end up turning my brightness up all the way and I get jump scared and I almost never believe that they're real, but if I have to get scared at them, I guess you do too. Half of these videos is like stuff that I genuinely find creepy, and half of it is, well, if I have to suffer, so do you. You're the ones who tag me in these videos and make this entire channel possible, so make sure to tag me at LoeyBugXO. But if it isn't the consequences of your own actions. Anyways, moving on. How about a paranormal video that I actually think is quite real? This is from 6 Sean Lee. POV, it's 3 a.m. and you just woke up to someone walking around your apartment.
So I was sleeping here. I had Phoebe just right here. She was like tucked between my leg and the cushion. I just turned this light on. But also, if you come to my kitchen, there are 2 separate string.
Of course, an ad.
Lights, 2 strand lights, right? So you're telling me 2 strands of overhead lights just burn out last night? Because this came back on. This one was already having kind of problems, but I never had problems with this set of string lights. It's flickering. You can see it flickering. So my entire apartment's dark, completely pitch black. I just turned on, obviously, my bedroom TV, but it's just pitch black, and I just hear shuffling all the way from the hallway to the office bedroom over there, back to the hallway, behind me, behind my head, here, stopped.
I don't know if this one's paranormal. It's kind of silly.
That's when I was like,
fast forward this one.
All the way over to my bedroom. The second I heard it get like here, I jumped off my couch. Phoebe took off. And I'm looking around in the darkness like this, and there's just a whole lot of nothing. So...
That is so terrifying. The way he was describing it was just giving me chills. But I have to say, like, initially I was like, well, maybe the string lights aren't like that crazy of a thing. Like, I feel like these little neon lights, I've had them for years and years, and they've kind of gone out at different times, even though I always only really use them at the same time. But also, if you bought things around the similar time, maybe they'd burn out together. But the coincidence of that happening and then this just doesn't seem like much of a coincidence to me. Captured color in the eye was either a guy with
this is a
7 foot, really clear, to be 10 feet tall, and apparently one there is a tall man. At the time, maybe they'd burn out together. But the coincidence of that happening and then this
Sorry.
doesn't seem like much of a coincidence to
everyone.
me. If you want to see some creepy ghost photos, go no further, because this TikToker finally captured the tall man at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital.
Excuse me. I think this one particularly is a famous ghost that is often caught there. I think I've heard about him, or I've seen evidence of him before, at least. Unless there's multiple tall mans in hospitals, but whatever.
Now, I was a little skeptical going into this, and they had to like pretty much freeze frame it for me, but yeah, there is a tall man
somebody there
in that image when apparently there was no one there. Now, I did a little Googling because I was curious about this shadow man. Apparently, he is said by some sources to be 10 feet tall and capable of crawling on the ceiling. This Redditor actually captured the apparition on camera, and I think this is a really clear one too. Maybe not as solid as the other one, but that almost makes it weirder because it's translucent. It's captioned, taken in the second story shadow hall where they report a 7-foot tall shadow figure. This was taken at the end of the night. There was one other guy with me and he was in front of me to the left. He had the flashlight, so there's no way the shadow was either of ours. I'm seeing conflicting heights. I'm gonna choose to believe 7 feet. He looked much taller in the other image. Perhaps he lies about his height, just like men in real life.
If you don't believe in ghosts, stop what you're doing because I guarantee I will change your mind before the end of this video.
Oh, this is a good one.
Behind me is a picture that I took in 2010, and in my opinion, it is one of the best paranormal photos ever taken. If anyone else had taken this picture, I truly would have never believed that it was not photoshopped. I would be convinced that it was fake and that the person who took it was a liar.
So TikTok user Hey It's Bells sets up this photo for us. It's her and a couple of friends one night, and they're just goofing around, and they end up locking one of their friends out of the car. This friend jumps on the windshield as like a joke, you know, like don't drive away without me. And so Bells snaps a picture. She doesn't even realize that anything is weird about it until she posts it to Facebook later, and someone calls out that there's something in the mirror behind her.
Right here on the passenger seat is...
Yeah, I just want to say before we continue, there is a good chance this is not paranormal, and it can be debunked, but it is so strange that... And then she says it's like a famous thing. I don't know if she said it was in her family or town, and it's just something she talks about a lot. I feel like if it was faked, somebody would be like, "No, that was." They would come out and be like, "No, you know, she says this is a ghost picture, but it's really my buddy Bob in the back, and you know, it was a prank we played, and everybody believed it." But somebody would come out and say something, I think. But nobody has yet. And if they're telling the truth, they say they don't know who that person is, and I frankly believe them, especially the way this looks, because it looks like the person, the way they are, it looks like he's standing directly behind her. Like, it looks like he's not even sitting down in the car behind, like, you would, you know, like when you look in the rearview mirror, you expect, you know where to see the people, like, they're usually buckled up and, like, sitting in the seat, right? This person looks like they're not even in their seat. Like, they're standing and doing something directly behind her. And it's a very strange picture.
My friend Lindsay, she has blonde hair.
They're going to show
this
a close-up in a
relevant,
bit.
I promise. Right here in the shotgun seat is my friend Valerie. She had brown hair. And then I'm sitting in the very back in the middle with my brown hair. And then you can see the outline of our friend Brittany. She had jumped on the windshield. So now I'm going to turn your attention to the rear view mirror. You can see the top of my friend Lindsay's head.
Hold on, I want to get that one more time. So she's saying there's one person on the car window, and then there's 3 people in the car. But then there's a guy that's not supposed to be there in the picture. So I don't know. Let's hear it one more time, just to be sure.
Right here in the shotgun seat is my friend Valerie. I truly would have never believed that it was not photoshopped. I would be convinced that it was fake and that the person who took it was a liar.
So TikTok user Hey It's Bells sets up this photo for us. It's her and a couple of friends one night, and they're just goofing around, and they end up locking one of their friends out of the car. This friend jumps on the windshield as like a joke, you know, like don't drive away without me. And so Bells snaps a picture. She doesn't even realize that anything is weird about it until she posts it to Facebook later, and someone calls out that there's something in the mirror behind her.
Right here in the passenger seat is my friend Lindsay. She has blonde hair. This is all relevant, I promise. Right here in the shotgun seat is my friend Valerie. She had brown hair. And then I'm sitting in the very back in the middle with my brown hair. And then you can see the outline of our friend Brittany. She had jumped on the windshield. So now I'm going to turn your attention to the rear view mirror. You can
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Stream Elements posted in my chat and I was just kind of confused. They've never done that before, so I don't know what that's about, but whatever. Sorry, let's run this back one more time.
see the top had jumped on the windshield with my brown Valerie. She had, this is all relevant.
Her.
Right here in the passenger seat is my friend Lindsay. She has blonde hair. This is all relevant, I promise. Right here in the shotgun seat is my friend Valerie. She had brown hair. And then I'm sitting in the very back in the middle with my brown hair. And then you can see the outline of our friend Brittany. She had jumped on the windshield. So now I'm going to turn your attention to the...
Okay, I was right. There's 4 girls who are friends in and on the car. They're claiming there's a 5th individual in the car that was not supposed to be there, that they did not see or witness at all. They don't know anybody who looks like this. They don't know who it is. Very, very creepy.
The rear view mirror. You can see the top of my friend Lindsay's head, her strawberry blonde hair, as she was turned to the side, looking at my friend and laughing. Now I'm going to zoom in and I want you to take a closer look. Here we are zoomed in. Again, you can see her head right here, the whole outline. You can even see her little wispy stray hairs.
Yeah, you can see she's turned.
Now
her
look
head.
directly behind her head and tell me who is the man sitting behind her with the blonde hair, the defined brow bone, the eye divot.
It almost looks like he's... You know what it looks like now that I look at it? It looks like he was the driver. And they caught a picture of like a glitch in time where, because he's taller than her, it looks like he's sitting, like she's sitting on his lap. And because it's interesting because they're both turning their heads at the same time. So it makes me think like, if it's not like a what is it called? If it's not a residual haunting that's attached to the car, the spirit who maybe they died in the car, or their spirit is attached to this because it was their car. When she was turning her head to laugh with her friend, the spirit connected to her in that moment. And it connected to a time, maybe when he was turning his head and laughing about something. And then the camera caught it. That's the only thing I can, think to explain, because it's so odd. I don't really know how to debunk it. Otherwise they had some guy in there and like, let's take this picture and it'll look like, I'll sit in your lap, but it looks like a ghost. Like, I don't know. It's very convincing if you ask me, but that's just my opinion.
And the nose. I was sitting in the back seat in the middle with no one else back there. And here it is outlined if you're having trouble seeing it. Again, this picture is 14 years old, and at this point, I have literally shown it to hundreds of people, and I wouldn't be surprised if thousands have seen it. This has truly become a picture that so many of my friends and family know about, and they'll share it with their friends
Someone would
and
have
family.
debunked
It's
it
been
by
passed
now, I
around a
think.
lot. It's been sent into paranormal investigators. I have never been able to get a logical explanation as to what it is that we're looking at.
She goes on to say that she's literally sent this image to paranormal investigators and that one of them told her it was just a headrest. What? That's a headrest? Really? I would literally be more inclined to believe it was the spirit of Eminem himself in this car than believe that was a headrest. Like, I get pareidolia. I get, like, seeing things where there's nothing. That is a head. It's crazy because, like she said earlier, this is one of those stories where, like, you hear about it and you're like, no way, is that real? Like, that has to be explained. But the fact that, like, it's been this photo that's been passed around all this time, like a, hey, do you believe in ghosts? No, want to see this image? I love that. It almost is like your own little built-in urban legend, you know? And I think it's a ghost. I mean, based on the way that she's telling this story, I sure as heck don't think that was someone who was there. If you guys have any paranormal photos or just paranormal stories in general, will you please email me? I use my email so sporadically, my Loey Lane Storytime email that I have in the bottom of my videos. But I love reading them from time to time and scaring the crap out of myself. The Crescent Hotel is said to be one of the most haunted hotels in America. And recently I found some footage from the hotel that leads me to believe that is true. This video from Amusing Angela on TikTok went super viral last year, and she believes that she catches a ghost on camera singing at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, this one is
balcony
stupid. I'm gonna we're gonna skip this one. Do not like it. Okay. Remember, folks, sub for more content like this. Oh, excuse me, my throat's making noises again. Yeah, she claims she can hear something, and I don't hear it, and I frankly, it's not worth it. Yeah, no. No. Stupid. This one is stupid. Doesn't really prove much. Just like an old house with stuff that looks creepy and old, but there's like nothing. It's nothing. This is stupid. They just find something at an Airbnb and it's nothing. Yeah, like some of these are really dumb. This one's kind of interesting. You know, it's apparently like it's near the Shining Hotel. It doesn't really show anything, honestly. This one's stupid. Hold on, let me see.
So that is really, really creepy, and I fully believe it was not just a dream. But that's not the only one I have for you. Lucky Cactus said, oh, we're sharing scary dreams. I woke up in my bedroom and I went to use the restroom, stepped on someone laying face down on the floor, woke my husband up and told him. The person got up and was my husband's doppelganger, who then attacked us. I stab him with my nightstand knife and it doesn't work. I realize it's a dream, so I fall to wake myself up. I wake up, look over the bed. He's staring up at me and says, you lose, before I actually woke up. Oh, I hate a false awakening in a dream. We've talked about this before. That is one of the worst scary dream tropes of all time. Like waking up like 5 times before you're actually awake. This one says, creepiest dream I've ever had. Being in a car with my dead ex-boyfriend, then turning to him and saying, hey, you're dead. How are we together right now? He then looks right at me and says, you weren't supposed to say that. Then I woke up. Oh, that one is really spooky. Oh my God.
That one's a little stupid, but also creepy. A lot of people report having dreams where, like, when they figure out it's a dream, everybody looks at them, and I think that is so fucking twisted. Oops, sorry. Sorry.
I was actually telling someone about this recently, but when I lucid dream and I realize that I'm dreaming within a dream, everyone will stop what they're doing and all turn to look at me. That is so horrific. I cannot believe my brain comes up with that shit. Jade Amara says, a strange man in my dream telling me to wake up because there's someone watching me. Me waking up with a hangover thinking that was a weird dream until I look over. And apparently their roommate was watching her doing some creepy stuff. So this one was more scary IRL. Like the scary dream that was scarier when she...
But there's a lot of stories like that. And I had my own story like that. Spirits, they're once human. They have empathy for us. And if nobody's looking out for us, sometimes they go out of their way to let you know. Because they know something's fucked up. Something's wrong. So shout out to that spirit for helping her. It was probably one of her ancestors, honestly.
She woke up. Okay, enough of the spooky dreams, but I still have more creepy stories. Since we're talking about things we can't explain, when I was a kid, my TV flipped to a channel that was playing CCTV footage of parts of my own house. Told my parents, and we couldn't find any cameras where the footage was shown, nor could we get the footage back on the TV. Ew, that is such a modern day nightmare. God, that is so scary, actually. While asking for other people's scary stories, Jada Doesn't Exist says that growing up as a kid, I saw my dad on numerous occasions with glowing red eyes. The most memorable time was when I was sleeping in bed with him around 4 years old, and he peeked in the room around the corner. I was terrified. He told me to go back to sleep, and I looked over and saw my real dad sleeping next to me. Oh boy, a good old childhood mimic story. Yay! If you guys watch my TikToks or my YouTube shorts, I kind of just post them everywhere these days, but if you ever watch those videos, you know I've really been enjoying reading people's comment stories and like threads like this. So I thought I'd share some of the creepiest paranormal ones.
I just found the creepiest comment section on the internet. Tell me your spookiest paranormal experience. I don't want to hear the door open by itself. Try to make me lose sleep. My entire childhood, I would have nightmares about a boy who lived in my closet. He would open my closet door and jump on my bed, or open the closet door and call me by my name. Years later, after I moved out, my parents finally told me that the last owner's son...
I believe that one. And of course we get an ad. Fuck you, YouTube.
himself in the closet. I woke up at like 3 a.m. because my cat was hissing at something, and I saw myself staring at me, like standing over me in a different outfit that I do not, in fact, own. Okay. Tripped over a small tombstone near night. Being in a bad mood, I cursed the name on it. Got back to my room and felt a presence and an angry sounding breath. Went back and apologized. No more presents. Now, I saw so many people post about seeing the Grim Reaper. Was riding in the back of the minivan, and I used to look out the back door windows. I saw clearly the Grim Reaper walking across the field of the high school we were driving by. Kid got himself unalived.
I feel like every time I hear a Grim Reaper story, it just sounds so fake. But that's just me, man. I don't know. It could be real.
Same night in that field. When I was 8 or 9, woke up around 2 a.m. to go get water, and my paternal great-grandmother was baking chocolate chip cookies in my kitchen. She gave me a welcoming smile and then disappeared. She's been gone since the 1960s. I saw the Grim Reaper in the kitchen when I went to use the bathroom in the middle of the night as a kid. I started banging on my mom's door screaming. It was just all black, no features, with the pole thing, like the scythe. Sister and I saw the Grim Reaper in our house one night, and the next day our grandpa passed away. After an autopsy during paramedic school, I was driving home and I was 2 blocks from my house when I passed someone driving the same car and who looked exactly like the girl from the autopsy. The look she gave me when she drove by just felt eerie. A woman called my name twice. I tore my house apart looking for her. Cupboard, closets, all of it. When I couldn't find anything, I sat down and she laughed at me. I heard a man's voice consoling my crying son over the baby monitor. Shh, you're okay. Bursted into the nursery and no one was there. Freaked me out. The man's voice was not familiar. Do you guys want to hear more? What's something that happened to you as a kid but nobody believes? My imaginary friends were way too realistic, and I was so obsessed with them, I just know they were the spirits of children who passed. Many people said breathing underwater. They experienced breathing underwater. This comment says, my sister and I swear on the Bible that we could legit do it when we were young. We also had the exact same dream one night when we shared a room. I remember flying over a tree, too. I breathed underwater, I swear to God. I watched my stomach go up and down with each breath. I don't know.
I used to be able to hold my breath a lot. I don't know if it's the same as breathing underwater, but
what it was, but I used to be absolutely terrified of one specific corner of the ceiling in my room. Used to look up at it all the time, felt like there was something there. I saw shadowy figures every night, seeing the Hat Man almost every night. I saw a spider walk out of my room in a top hat and a briefcase. Shadow people are evolving. Floating down the stairs, like just take the first step and float to the bottom, always happened when no one was watching. Another person who swears they floated down the stairs. Also, why were we all on the stairs? I used to see 3 blurry figures walk out of my wardrobe around my room and disappear back in there every night for years. It bothered me so much that I had therapy as a kid for it. You guys wanted more, so here are more creepy stories about things that have happened to people when they were kids that no one would ever believe. A man looking like my dad came almost every night into my bedroom watching me, but it wasn't my dad. I was just going to sleep and I had turned off the light. As soon as I lay down, I felt 3 fingers touch my foot, slowly, like it was counting, and then it slid off. I froze and lay still for a while. I used to get dragged down the stairs by God knows what, and then I'd wake up at the bottom of the stairs. This would be a repetitive thing. Insane. I'm pretty sure I was swapped out with another me in the woods, and I have both memories of going in and staying and coming out as one person. A fever dream, I guess. When I would go to bed, there would be a line of shadows that would pass by my bed at night, and it would freak me out. This comment kind of got cut off. Basically, this girl says that she swears she has a memory of a man trying to abduct her while she was out to eat with her grandparents. Like this vivid memory of kicking and screaming and trying to get away from the guy, and none of her family says it ever happened. Like they all are completely convinced it's like a dream she had. And lastly, this person says that when they were in kids club when they were younger, they had a friend who always played with them. She told me she was a vampire. She gave me her.
You know what I want to say? Sorry. Smoke it. You know how it is.
Phone number, and none of her family says it ever happened.
Oh, sorry. So for this one, ooh, pardon me. For this one, it seems like the only way I could explain that is you have a false memory, or it happened in an alternate life or alternate timeline, and it probably was like a really horrific, traumatic event, and I don't know, you were able to cross over and get the memory, but you didn't have the experience. I don't know. Very strange, creepy.
Happened. Like they all are completely convinced it's like a dream she had. And lastly, this person says that when they were in kids club when they were younger, they had a friend who always played with them. She told me she was a vampire. She gave me her phone number and I called it and it said the line was disconnected. She also apparently told her that she was leaving, and then the next day this person asked their counselor about where this friend had moved to. She had no idea who they were talking about, and this friend was in none of the yearbooks. I can't believe I'm asking this, but do you want to hear more? Okay, these are the stories that made healthcare workers believe in ghosts, and I'm already scared. A patient died in a room. Hours later, the call light kept going off and no one was in there. An older nurse went in there and had to tell that deceased patient that she was gone and needed to move on. The call light never went off again. Hey, who's that lady behind you? Me, I'm not sure, but I'm sure she's nice. Patient, she's crawling on the floor. Heard a voice talking with my dementia patient in her room. Walked in, she was facing her husband's ashes and said, we're just fighting, we're okay. I walked right out. True diva behavior is fighting with your husband beyond the grave. This might be the scariest one. There's a patient that passed away in our hospital back in 1999. To this day, her labels print from our printers and she will pull up on our acquisition for patient
Oh, that's not that scary. I'm gonna change it. How much time do we have? We got like 6 minutes, so Got a couple honorable mentions here. But we're gonna end it on the Bigfoot story. The other really good Bigfoot story from Bob. This one, honestly, I think it just...
Hi, I'm Bob Gimlin.
Hold on.
Along...
We don't want it to go too fast. Maybe... This story confirms more of my thoughts on Bigfoot of, like, some of them are definitely trying to, like, either replace their children or babies that died, or they're like, I don't know, like, if you're not kidnapping humans or children, oh my god, excuse me, human children to replace your own children or to have as your children, like, let's say, you know, if I was Bigfoot, the only other reason would be, like, to use them for some other, like, nefarious, probably not good reason. I guess they could abduct people or children and, like, be like, you're the chosen one and we want you to live with us. Like, that could be a thing, but, like, are Bigfoots really the ones doing that? I don't really know. But let's keep it pushing. And then once this one is done, we are calling it, folks.
Long time ago, I told a witness that I would tell the story of his encounter. And I figure late is better.
You know, I was hoping we could have it go a little faster, but it just makes his voice sound not good, so...
Better than never. For the sake of full disclosure, I did a significant amount of editing to his report. We'd be here for days if I didn't. But the events and wording are entirely accurate to the report and text I received.
Bob is really good.
I was
telling
only
stories.
15 when it happened. It was 1999. I have never really claimed to know 100% what it was that happened, but it has been on my mind forever. Like a bad dream. We were at a campsite some 2 hours southeast of Knoxville, Tennessee. It is incredibly picturesque. We made this trip usually a couple times a year, both before and after my experience. My parents slept in the RV, and I slept in the tent, because I thought it was real camping. It was the first night there on a long weekend. It was maybe 1 or 2 a.m. when I woke up to hear this hushed or muffled moaning, in between really fast gibberish. It was really fast, really, really fast. It sighed and moaned between this fast talking. The gibberish was more like syllables than words. I wasn't awake for more than a couple seconds before it started messing with the tent. It ended up not opening the tent with the zipper, but the fabric along the zipper was creased and weaker than the rest. It tore the tent open, not opening the zipper, but tearing the fabric along the zipper line where the fabric was weakest. As soon as there was a big enough opening, the chatter turned into what I'd say sounded a lot like a whinny from a horse.
Yeah, there seems to be another common thing with a Bigfoot is that they sound awful lot like horses. And I almost wonder, are they doing that? Like, is it just, that's what the human brain is like. The human brain can't comprehend the noises it's hearing, so it's like, that's gotta be a horse. Or are the Bigfoot intentionally sounding like horses to confuse us? Like, that's what I want to know.
I have never been so scared since. I remember my stomach turning, exactly like a drop on a roller coaster.
But yeah, in case you weren't following, this kid is on a outdoors kind of trip with his family. They're sleeping in the RV. He wants to sleep in a tent. He feels like it's not real camping if you're not in a tent or whatever. So, you know, he's young. I don't know how old he is in this, but very young. Not young enough that you can't remember things clearly that happen to you. Especially this. Like, I can imagine being in this situation personally, and just the terror. like this Bigfoot, like, and then I'll break it down a little bit later when we get into the nitty gritty and like to like, okay, what is this? Is it actually a Bigfoot or is it something else? Um, but like, God, have a Bigfoot break into your tent and then, yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but keep
Hid in the
keep listening.
sleeping
It's
bag.
important.
I couldn't see anyway. I just flipped the top of my sleeping bag over my head and squeezed it tightly. I tried to curl into a ball. Then it came inside the tent. It smelled like garbage.
And
Like
it
old
stinks,
hot poultry
remember
in the
that.
trash.
It stinks like
I know
shit.
how crazy this sounds, but it laid right on top of me. There wasn't much pressure on my body, so it must have been on all fours, or supporting itself on its elbows.
Oh, Jesus.
It used what I still call to this day hands to feel out my shape in the sleeping bag. I had balled up in my sleeping bag as soon as I heard the tent tear. I covered my face. I saw nothing the entire time. I remember very distinctly that the touching got even softer once it felt its way to my face. As soon as those fingers got to my chin, it whinnied again, just like a horse, and started talking fast. I remember it smelling my face through the sleeping bag, and that it was feeling out my facial
It's kinda
structure.
cute.
I think its face was pressing right into the sleeping bag, and I could hear the material rubbing on skin or hair. It sounded like it breathed through a wall of snot in its nose. I don't know why I didn't start earlier, but at this point I started screaming. Absolutely screaming. This has at most been 15 seconds since it first woke me up. It may have been even less, though. Then it ran away, and I heard the RV door open, and my dad shouted, "Hey."
Okay, I just want to say, in case you weren't clear what was just happening, this poor fucking kid is alone in the tent. His parents are in the RV. They're all sleeping. He wakes up to weird noises outside the tent. And the noises proceed to tear open the tent where it's the weakest by the zipper or whatever. And then it's now it's in the tent. Okay, so it was outside making noises. It ripped the fucking tent open and went inside. Okay, so now this thing is inside this kid's tent. And it's pretty much on top of it. I would say this creature, if it is a Bigfoot, it's a gigantic motherfucking creature. And now it's literally has this kid pinned in the tent, in his sleeping bag. And by the time it's in the tent, he's curled up, hiding his head in the sleeping bag because he's so creeped out and freaked out. Because like, what the fuck is breaking into his tent? Like, if it's not a Bigfoot, it's like a person, or right? You know, it's a person there to do what is it going to do? Molest him or something horrible? Like, when I was watching this, that's kind of my first thought, that he was being molested by this poor Bigfoot. Because it's literally on top of him. And then it sticks its hand in the boy's sleeping bag in order to, like, touch its face. And so now it's like, now literally, and it smells like shit. This giant fucking thing, creature, man, whatever, it's in his tent, on top of him in his sleeping bag. It's sticking his big, disgusting, dirty fingers in the sleeping bag to touch his face. And while it's doing that, it's like sniffing him through the sleeping bag and rubbing against it and making weird noises, like muttering or chattering or something. Like, I want you to just for like 5 seconds put yourself in that child's situation. Like, even if I was an adult and that happened to me, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I understand, like, being frozen, but yeah, he says he should have started screaming sooner. Yeah, definitely. But Wow, that freezing, that instinct to freeze, holy shit, goes crazy. Now he's being I just it's such a fucked up situation. And I'm just glad nothing worse happened to him, but like holy shit, how traumatizing. Even if it was a person, it would be traumatizing.
I don't know if it turned around inside the tent or reversed, but it's amazing it never stepped on me. It was not a big tent. That's what made it so creepy, both at the time and thinking back on it. It was treating me very tenderly, as if I was important or valuable to it. My dad. So this is where it gets strange. My dad didn't think it was a big deal. I remember he was surprised that I wouldn't spend the rest of the night in the tent or any of the following nights. He said it was a big old dog. Not just from my story, I mean. He said he saw it run away. A big old skinny dog is what he said. He said that it had smelled my jerky, which I didn't have, or my M&Ms, which I did have, and that it was just sniffing my face, as dogs do. I asked what breed this dog he saw was. He said he didn't know. But if he saw it, how did he not know what kind of dog it was? I don't think he actually saw a dog. I think he thinks he saw a dog. The way the light turned on outside the RV was kind of useless because it shined right into the little awning thing. So if the awning was down, which it was, the light just shined into the canvas. There was a good 3 or 4 seconds between when I screamed, causing it to leave, and my dad opening the door and yelling, "Hey."
Like, of course the fucking dad does not believe the son and thinks it's like a joke. And what about the mom? The mom doesn't say nothing?
From where I'm standing, that 3 or 4 seconds was long enough for whatever it was to have been out of direct sight of my dad, or at least out of the light. Here's the other troubling part, I guess. My dad is interested in all things paranormal.
This part
He
upset
invokes the name of Art Bell as if it were a religious deity. To my dad, how the pyramids couldn't have been built by humans with no help is standard conversation.
Oh my god.
So I just don't get why he is so convinced that it was a dog. I don't think it was a dog. To this day, I don't think it was a dog.
I've never heard of something so
No
asinine.
dog can make that chatter, and no dog has hands like that. And I've been around big smelly dogs all my life.
Yeah, literally.
And this was not wet, musty dog smell.
No.
Plus, I remember it feeling like it was completely covering me with its body, without actually putting any weight on me, if that makes sense. Plus, I remember feeling lips. Plus, it had hands. Plus, I wouldn't call them words, but I would call that chattering language of some kind. I have never brought this up to my dad without him laughing at me like I'm crazy. One time we were driving together, and a lady was walking a big dog, and my dad covered my eyes, and he shouted, don't look, it's Bigfoot." Or if a big dog is on TV, he'll stare at me with grave concern to tease me. Maybe it just hurts because I could probably convince my dad that the movie E.T. is based on actual events if I tried hard enough. Honestly, if this thing just started beating me, I feel like it would have been a lot less traumatic. At the time and looking back, I remember feeling like it was treating me as though I was precious, like I was very important.
Yep.
I've had chills since the first line of this. This was the Smokies. Are you familiar with Politis? I think I was close to being one of those. Like I think I already said. I remember it like it was a bad dream. I don't think it was a dream.
Yeah,
but that's
because
how
the
my
dad
memory
already seen
sees
it.
it. In that dream format.
The dad
if that
sees
makes
a
any
dream of-
sense.
Never
In
heard
those
of that
moments,
shit.
I was acting under pure animal instinct. That smell, that chatter, and the way it was pressing down on me
Crazy.
are all things I'll never forget. It was the only time I ever understood the meaning of sick with fear. And I hope it never happens again. My stomach just plunged. That's my story.
Gotta
I'm sticking
remember
to it.
do a raid.
I spoke with this gentleman years ago, and his story left an impression on me as well. I asked if maybe his dad was determined to make him think it was a dog, as to not permanently scar him from the outdoors. He said something along the lines of, no, if that was the case, his dad would have investigated himself, and certainly wouldn't have encouraged him to stay in the tent overnight again. He also mentions, honorably I thought, how his memory of the event is not perfect. He recalls being some 70 feet away from the camper, and his dad laughed and said that the tent was more like 20 feet away at most. This kind of report long predates Europeans in America, and it continues to this day, something interested in the vulnerable. So the question can be asked, what does the described behavior of this report indicate? Primates, humans included, have arguably the most useless offspring in the animal kingdom. The foal seemed...
See, this is why I love Bob. He says shit like that, and he sounds like... He just... He's so real. Like, he just dropped this shark video, and I wanted to do an honorable mention, but we totally don't have time. But I don't know, just sometimes he says shit, and I'm just like, man. Like, sometimes it's like, you know, where do you get the audacity? But no, he's so real for that, I feel him.
Here is just about 24 hours old.
But yeah, I think Bob is going to insinuate my same assumption with this and the last, and frankly, the last Bigfoot story we did earlier. I think it wanted to take this kid. Like, this Bigfoot was literally like, oh my god, those evil piece of shit humans. They're so evil and bad, they abandoned one of their babies in the woods. What sick freaks. And then it went to go check. And like, are you okay, little? And like, sorry. It's just so funny to me. There's another Bigfoot story Bob did. And one of, it's not the one I shared. It's a different one. It's we might do it another time. He basically insinuates that these Bigfoot, like, the children, the Bigfoot babies, like the children, they're like they're older, but they still are kids. So I think they like have a longer adolescence period than we do as humans or something. Like, I don't know, I'm not sure how to explain it. Their babies are bigger. So they look like they're older and not babies, but they are babies. Like, he probably thought this was like it could, you know, like, oh my god, you know, it's a 10, 12-year-old boy, and to this Bigfoot, it's like a 5-year-old or something, you know what I mean? It's as big as a 10, 12-year-old, but it's actually like 1 or 2 year, 1 or 5-year-old Bigfoot, you know, like, listen, I'm just speculating. You know, we don't have evidence of this stuff. We only have real animals and shit to go by. We don't have more evidence than that yet, unfortunately, but it's interesting nonetheless, and it is true. And Bob is going to say, but you know, primates do like other primate babies, and like just babies in general. They think babies are cute. Their children are cute. It's a theme among apes and primates. So I don't think it's that far-fetched to think the Bigfoot was like, oh my god, those evil humans abandoned this baby, and she was just making sure it was okay. Or she was just, they were deciding like, ooh, do I want to abduct this child? It's right here, I can take it.
And already it can trot around and take direction from its mother. A newborn crocodile is very much as dangerous as an adult crocodile, relative to its size, of course. On the other hand, a human newborn cannot even nurse without literally having its head supported.
Yeah.
The utter and total dependence that human babies and similar babies have on whoever is caring for them creates a strong bond between offspring and caregiver. When that bond is broken, radical behavior is known to follow. Is it possible that these creatures, in the face of the loss of offspring, lose their marbles a bit and seek out the closest replacement they can? Maybe not even to raise as their own, but just even to be near for a little while. Powerful hormones are released in a mother's
I'm not gonna lie, like, cause I've never heard of when you hear stories of Bigfoot, they usually do not get that close to anybody. So the fact that it's brave enough to even get that close suggests something is off.
Brain by the very sight and sound of a baby they've bonded with. And if that precious face is no more, the withdrawal of those hormones are very much like any other withdrawal, and can cause impulsive, erratic, and irrational behavior.
Yep.
A video went viral of baboons keeping dogs as pets, and I'm very skeptical of this wording. Clearly the dogs and baboons cohabitate to some extent, but interaction between the two doesn't really indicate that one is domesticated to the needs of the other. But this primate did have pets.
This is adorable.
Coco cared for 5 cats
Yep.
over some 40 years. She named them All Ball, Lipstick, Smokey, Miss Black, and Miss Gray.
From my understanding, she couldn't actually do sign language or whatever. Like, she wasn't... There was somebody, like, translating for her. And I think it was revealed that it was mostly fake. Like, she could do some sign language, but it wasn't really more than that. And they tried to make it seem like it was. But I do believe this. I do believe she had kittens, and I do think that is valid. And it is important to this conversation.
First 3 she chose were all multicolored. The 2 she picked out in 2016 were solid color. Something she thought was worth noting, apparently. She named All Ball because, as she begged to get her first kitten, she seemed to like to put her stuffed toy cat on her head, just like she did her ball. I guess she always envisioned a kitten sitting on her head.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Holy shit, I'm sorry this fucked me up. It didn't occur to me until right now. Holy shit, this is so sad. And honestly, it gives me even more reason to believe that the Bigfoot was trying to replace its baby, or it thought there was a lost baby, or abandoned child. Or just was considering, just taking him as her own, or whatever, but... Sorry. This picture of Coco with the kitten. Bob is saying she liked to put the kittens on her head or something. And I think this is what gorillas usually do with their babies. So she's probably, the poor fucking gorilla probably wanted to have babies and, had that natural instinct of creating and having your own babies, watching them grow up, and then she's in a zoo, so she can't make her own decisions. So what's the next closest thing to having a baby? Having a pet. It's really sad, honestly. It's very, very sad. I wish this world was better for people and all the animals in it. That's all I'm going to say. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night.
What I'm trying to say in so many words is that the great apes, no doubt, think smaller animals are cute.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this. Sorry, it's just... Animals are so beautiful, we really don't deserve them. They're just too pure for this kind of world, in my opinion.
Have a strong desire to nurture. It's clearly something that Coco, at least, put a lot of thought into. Of course, other great apes think smaller primates are tasty. Anyway,
that's the other option.
Make sure to like this video, subscribe if you have.
But I'm not gonna lie. If it was gonna listen, if that Bigfoot wanted to eat that boy, that Bigfoot probably could have taken that little kid, who was Bob. We're just retelling the story to Bob. It could have gone in the tent, snapped his fucking neck, and just taken him, and the parents would have no idea what happened. if that's what it wanted to do, it could have, and I don't see any reason why it's obvious to me like it had some other motive. Especially like why would it be touching the kid's face? Like that's very almost human kind of and again, I guess it could be another feral human, but I don't tend to believe that. Okay, I just want to make sure I sent this link before I go. Okay, no, I didn't. Okay, hold on. I will send this link in the chat, and we will call it a night. It's fun, you know. People were coming in and out, tuning in. Hold on, sorry. Just want to make sure I share it in the chat. Want people to be able to watch the video themselves if they so feel like it. Also, Bob deserves the shout out because he's cool. Oh damn, we ended up going 20 minutes longer than I thought. Oh shit. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna check if you can raid with only like one person in the chat. Let's see. Okay. Alright, folks, thank you for coming in and joining me. It's been fun. It's been real. We're gonna try to do a raid with Mafia Jinx. Because she's cool. She's a cool one. I like her. Give me a second. Oops, sorry. I was supposed to have that on. Oopsie. Okay, let's try to do this raid, huh? Let's do it. I like Mafia Jinx. She's pretty cool.
Accept. Exit. No doubt behind that painting.
Oh, she's
Follow me,
watching Scooby-Doo. Very cool.
gang.
It's glitching on me a little bit, though. Oh well, let's do it. We are unable to raid Mafia Jinx at this time. Wow, they wouldn't even let me raid her. Can we raid anybody? Oh, it's because it's unstable. It must be my internet. Oh well. Can't say I didn't try, right? Alright. Take it easy, everyone. Give me a follow, give me a sub. And we'll be back Friday, maybe, I think. Sooner, maybe, but we'll see. Alright. You guys take it easy. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.